An Odyssey sports station. Nobody in Kansas City has sports like 96.5 The Fan.
Right side throw, touchdown! Kansas City! A 3-yard touchdown pass in overtime! Kansas City wins the game!
Welcome into The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
Back-to-back best sports talk hosts as voted on in the Pitch magazine.
Live from the Fan Studios. Here's CDOT.
All right, let's do this. Another day, another dollar, another edition of The Drive. You are listening to The Drive on 96.5 The Fan, 96.5thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. I must admit, yesterday I told you guys that I was in a great mood. I had finished The Sopranos, and I was on a high yesterday. Today, I'm coming in a little bit peeved. I'm coming in a little bit ticked off. Some of you are going to be able to feel my pain on this opening topic. We will get to it in just a little bit. This has nothing to do with Rob. He has not done anything. I'm not mad at you guys. It is nothing that we have done. It is corporate greed that has taken over our lives that has me a little bit miffed. We'll get to that in a bit. Today, we are going to do something a little bit different. So there are a handful of other teams who are in the exact same position as Kansas City. They play on the 15th of December, the 21st, and also the 25th. We are going to head to each of those locations and learn a little bit more about those teams. So coming up in just a bit, we're going to head to Houston, Texas. We'll also ask Sean Pendergast about Steven Nelson. He is the newest member of the Kansas City Chiefs. There is a lot to get into. DJ Humphries, once again, did not practice today. We'll talk about that. Bill Belichick had his press conference earlier today. They were not playing any games. I was thinking that the press conference was going to be sometime next week. He already shot some social media content and had a press conference earlier today introducing himself as the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. So Bill Belichick is wasting no time in trying to turn that program around. We have a lot to get into. I'm not going to take too much more of your time, but before we do anything else, I got to give you a chance to get a pizza.
Pizza time on The Drive. Carrington, dial me up right now. 913-586-7965. Call number 6 wins a pizza from our friends over at Pizza Tassio. Pizza Tassio is Kansas City's best New York-style pizza, and they have taken over the town. They lovingly use 100% whole milk mozzarella, all organic tomato sauce with locally grown fresh ingredients, all made by KC guys who both know and love pizza. They also have a killer selection of craft and local beers, plus unique wine. So whether you're hungry enough for a whole pie or just want a slice or two, be sure to visit them now. PizzaTassio.com. That's pizza, TASCIO.com.
All right, I need you guys to do me a couple of favors. Number one, I need you listening to The Drive each day at 2 o'clock right here on 96.5 The Fan, 96.5thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. I need you to tell one person to listen to the show. You don't have to tell 2 friends. 1 friend would be enough. And you know what? If you could tell a complete stranger happy holidays, you know what? That would make me really, really happy. This is what I am peeved about. I was having a great morning. I had myself a bowl of Cheerios as I was watching TV just to start my day, trying to eat healthy, trying to eat right. I'm getting older. All of a sudden, my phone pinged. I don't know what asked me to check it then at that moment, but I decided to stop my breakfast and then pick up the phone. I got an email from YouTube TV. Rob, I thought they were adding another channel. I thought that they were going to put the Royals back on there. I was wrong. It said, "Hi, Carrington. YouTube TV has always worked hard to offer you the content you love. But to keep up with the rising cost of content and the investments we make in the quality of our service, we are updating our monthly price from $72 a month to $82 a month starting January 13th. Do you guys know what happens on January 13th? The college football semifinals. This is not random. You know this is not random. It then says that we don't make these decisions lightly. We realize that this has an impact on our members, and we stay committed to bringing you the features that are changing the way that we watch live TV. Can we go down a little bit of a journey here in this opening segment? Because I'm miffed about this. When YouTube TV started in 2017, Rob, it was $35 a month. It was a breath of fresh air. It was a revelation. I remember my frustration with Spectrum, and I felt like I was paying way too much to watch television. And I saw that $35 a month, and it looked all shiny and new. I jumped at the chance to switch teams. They then raised the price to $40 a month a year later. It's not that big of a deal. Two $20 bills for unlimited sports, unlimited DVR. It's not a big deal. Here, have it. I wasn't even worried about it. That then went to $50 in 2019. That then jumped up in the middle of COVID to $65. It then went to $72. It is now at $82. They have had 6 price increases since the introduction of YouTube TV. And we all know this ain't the last one. You know what I think? And maybe this is me just finally coming to grips with this is what capitalism is, and now this is what life is like, that now we're the adults paying the bills. It feels like every company that we use is constantly trying to push the envelope to see how far they can push us before we mentally break. What is my options if I have YouTube TV? I have to watch the games. You got to watch your Yellowstone. You got to watch your favorite shows. So all I'm going to do is complain, and I'm not going to do anything about it. But damn it, this is the platform for me to complain and for you to complain too. They have had 6 price increases since the creation of YouTube TV. What I really want to do today is I don't want to apologize. I want to apologize to cable, more specifically. We had a really good, reliable system that held us down for so long, and we left our loving marriage for the new hot thing that popped up on the block. You didn't deserve that, Spectrum. Today, for the first time in maybe a decade, I strongly consider going back to cable. At this point, what are the advantages of being on streaming versus going back to the way that television used to be? And for those of you that still have traditional cable, you get the Royals games. You don't got to jump through all these extra hoops and pay for this add-on and pay for this to be able to watch Bobby Witt Jr. on a Tuesday against the Chicago White Sox. So you were telling me the YouTube TV started off, I could watch the Royals, and it was $35 a month. You've now gotten rid of the Royals, and now it's $82 a month. Why am I showing any loyalty to you? Maybe some of you work for Spectrum. I'm not joking. Have your people call my people. This is ridiculous. This is what television has turned into for all of us. Some of you are saying, talk sports. What are you watching sports on if not for the television? They don't have to do this. You know what? When this work thing is over for me, when I get fired from Odyssey and I get fired from 96.5 The Fan, I'm going to start my own streaming service. And you know what my streaming service is going to be called? It's going to be called Balls. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to show you sports 24/7, nothing else. Why am I paying for Real Housewives of the Potomac? I don't watch that mess. Why am I paying for Young Sheldon? I don't know who he is. All I want is to come home and watch college basketball. All I want to do is come home and watch the NBA. I want to watch my NFL. I want to watch my college football. And I'll figure out everything else on my new streaming services. All we're giving you is sports and sports movies. That's all we're giving you. At some point, the TV, it can't just be dark. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. It can't just be dark. We're showing you Rocky. It can't just be dark at 6 o'clock in the morning. No, we've got our own morning show that we're talking about the sports that are coming up. Just charge me a fair price, $50, all the sports that I want. That's all I got YouTube TV for anyway. I'm not watching half of that nonsense on there. Why do I need to watch Fast and the Furious on VH1? I have it on Blu-ray right there in the entertainment center. Somebody's got to feel me out here. 913-586-7965. Why do they do this? They have pushed us to the limit. I got to pay you $83 a month. I got to pay for Amazon Prime. I got to pay for Hulu. I got to pay for Peacock. I got to pay for all of these things just so I can watch football. It's too much. I miss a simpler time when I could just, right there, boom, right there. It was on the television. Rob, we don't live in that time anymore. Cable was not that bad. Cable was really good to us. Cable was loyal. It was reliable. It was a great service. For the first time, I'm really considering going back. I miss Spectrum. We had a great relationship. We had a great run. I'm ready to come back home. I know it's been a while, but we can rekindle. Some of you broke up with your girlfriend. You got back together years later, and now you're married with kids. You're happy. You realized where home was. I'm starting to realize where home is. Home is with Spectrum Television. That's where I need to go, Rob.
It's all of our faults, Carrington. I remember, you remember, text line probably remembers. There was a time on the internet where people like me and you complained, I wish we just had a la carte television and we could just pick and choose streaming services and pay for internet and that would be better. Well, that's basically the world we live in. There's YouTube TV, there's Hulu Live, whatever one you choose, and then you have to add Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, Netflix, Max, Paramount Plus, whatever other ones there are out there. I'm sure there are. Amazon Prime, all those things. And the pricing is now worse than with cable. I didn't love my time with Spectrum either, but you know what was easier than having 9 subscriptions run through my smart TV? Plugging my cable box into the wall, connecting it to my television, and turning it on. And being able to turn on channel 59 and see the Royals. And being like, hey, I know for a fact KU's playing on ESPN2 tonight. I'll go to 34. And when it says game starting on ESPN News, I just hit guide and click search basketball, and there it is. As opposed to, hey, where in the thing? I don't even know. We got to get off the app and onto a new app. I am to blame. I wanted a la carte television. A la carte television stinks.
It makes me so mad. Text line 913-586-7965. Maybe only one person cared about the Open today. You know what? And that's fine. As somebody who has been loyal and stuck by YouTube TV, how many more of these price increases can we take? You want my $85 for YouTube TV. You now want $20 for Netflix. I can't share it with anybody. In order to watch the Sunday night games, I got to watch. It's too much. It's way too much. This system is worse than the one that we had. When we had cable, we thought you were wealthy when you had HBO, Cinemax, and Showtime. We all had the friend where you would go over his house and his parents had all the premium channels. You thought that they were living a life of luxury. I hate when you ask your friend's like, oh man, hey, did you watch that one documentary? And you're like, no, what streaming service is it on? And then they tell you don't have it. I just wanted to go back to how it was before. That's all I want. I just want TV to go back to how it was. It was great. It was beautiful. And we were ingrates about it. We did this. And I'm here to apologize to Time Warner, American Cablevision, Comcast, anybody who has given us cable in our lifetime. I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry. We're going to head to Houston, Texas next. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for K-State Athletics, 96.5. The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Thanks, Bob. We're here with Doug the Elf, asking about the hottest holiday gifts of the year. Doug, what's on your list?
Yeah, we're getting Missouri lottery scratchers and draw games. We came all the way from the North Pole.
They don't have lottery tickets there?
Now Missouri lottery tickets. They created a new millionaire every 8.1 days last year. Woohoo! I just won!
But I thought that was a gift.
Well, yeah, for me.
You heard it here first. Scratchers and draw games from the Missouri Lottery make great gifts for the holidays. Play it forward and play responsibly. Back to you in the studio.
I'm Mitch Holtis, voice of the Chiefs. Everyone develops cataracts naturally as they get older. When your vision is affected by cataracts, you should see my doctor, Dr. Steven Silverstein at Silverstein Eye Centers. Dr. Silverstein is a world-renowned cataract surgeon who performs life-changing laser-assisted cataract surgery with premium lens implants to correct your vision up close and far away. Trust my eye doctor, Dr. Steven Silverstein, Silverstein Eye Centers, 816-358-3600 to schedule an appointment.
Here's another great reason to use the United States Postal Service this season. When sending a package, why venture outside? Ship with USPS for a true holiday ride. Want to stay cozy and warm? There's no need to roam. With free package pickup and labels printed from home. We have over 600,000 employees always in motion. And before you know it, your gift has delivered emotion. Spread the holiday joy this season with USPS's enhanced network. Learn more at USPS.com/holiday ride.
Hey investors, this is JD again with Crossroads Investment Lending. Still wanting to get into that fix and flip game? Don't have the money? Maybe you've always wanted to get yourself a rental property. We can help you get in the door. Call the fix and flip guys at Crossroads Investment Lending, 913-766-2900, or go to kclend.com. That's KCLEND.com. Get started in the fix and flip game. What are you waiting for? That's Crossroads Investment Lending, 913-766-2900 or kclend.com.
Tune in this week to Kickoff with Boomer and Valenti, where they break down all the headlines in the NFL, presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com and get a great deal on the iPhone 16 Pro.
Don't become another lab-grown diamond victim. There are many reasons you will never see a lab-grown diamond for sale at House of Diamonds. You can learn a few of them online at mybigrock.com. Maybe a wholesale price or two as well. That's mybigrock.com.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
What's up, sandwich heads? Today on Steve-O's Sandwich Reviews, we've got the tips and tricks to the best sandwich order. And it all starts with this little guy right here. Pepsi Zero Sugar. Partial to pastrami, craving a Cubano. Yeah, sounds delicious, but boom! Add the crisp, refreshing taste of Pepsi Zero Sugar and cue the fireworks. Lunch, dinner, or late night, it'll be a sandwich worth celebrating. Trust me, your boy's eaten a lot of sandwiches in his day, and the one thing I can say with absolute fact... every bite is better with Pepsi.
Okay, so that's with bacon, cheese, lettuce, tomato, grilled onions, ketchup, and hold the pickles.
You know what you like. You wouldn't order your burger just any way. Why should your sports talk be any different? With Chapters on the free Odyssey app, you can choose the topics that matter to you most. Whether it's reactions, matchup previews, injury updates, or team news, quickly find what you really care about. Your football talk, your way. Download the free Odyssey app and start listening today.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Chiefs fans, it's Trent McDuffie. Welcome to The Drive with C-Dot on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
A lot has been made about the Chiefs stretch that is loading up. They play on the 15th, 21st, and 25th. They are obviously not the only team that has that schedule. We are going to head around the country to catch up with sports talk hosts who are in cities that their team has the exact same stretch that the Chiefs do. Let's start in Houston. The Chiefs actually play the Texans next Saturday here in Kansas City. Let's go to the phone lines right now to be joined by a dear friend of the show, Sean Pendergast. He is on Sports Radio 610 in Houston. Sean, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Carrington?
Doing fantastic, man. A lot has been made about this stretch here. I'm curious what your listeners, what your fan base has had to say about this stretch that's coming up for the Texans.
Yeah, the biggest thing that's been talked about with this stretch is it coincides with what has been one of the biggest stories in the NFL, I think, over the last week to 10 days, which is Azeez Al-Shire's suspension for the hit on Trevor Lawrence back in Week 13 before the bye week for the Texans. He's got a 3-game suspension out of that. The team appealed it. It's still going to be 3 games. And the 3 games, as you mentioned, the Texans have the Dolphins this Sunday and then the Chiefs on Saturday and then the Ravens on Christmas Day. And they're going to be missing their captain and one of their most impactful players on defense, a guy that really kind of makes the middle of the field there a difficult place for teams to roam without paying for it. And these are three teams, the Dolphins, Chiefs, and Ravens, that all have weapons that work the middle of the field. So there's a lot of nervousness and anxiety. The Texans just found out yesterday they lost safety Jalen Petrie for the rest of the season. He's had a really good season as well. And the offense has not been this season what it was last season. So there's a lot of anxiousness right now. The Texans are 95% in on the playoffs because they play in a wretched division, and they beat the Colts twice this year. But this whole season is like new charted territory for this group of Texans because we're still only a year removed from this team just playing noon on Sunday every week.
Right now, we're talking to Sean Pendergast, learning a little bit more about the Houston Texans. Let's continue with the conversation around Al-Shazir. Yeah. I understand why they would appeal it. It seemed very obvious to me. Those are the kind of hits that the NFL is trying desperately to get out of the league. I just didn't like his post on the back end of it where he sends the picture of the clown and the Joker and this is the guy you want to turn me into. Like, wait, you're telling me this isn't you, this isn't your character, but now you're going to lean into it? The whole thing just felt very contrived to me.
Yeah, well, I guess, and Azeez Al-Shaair, I don't think is a super well-known player around the league either. Like this hit, maybe the first that the average fan is discovering who he is. Good player, but he was a backup on the Niners for a number of years, played in Tennessee last year on kind of a prove-it deal, and he got a nice contract from the Texans, and he's played well here. He actually is a really good guy. Like that's what's the crazy thing. Like great in the community, great in the locker room, great with the media, all those things. Undrafted, so he plays with a chip on his shoulder, and I think some of that is kind of baked into what we've seen from him week to week, and what we saw on that Sunday. I do think that 3 games was a little much for that, and that was the case the Texans tried to make, both in the media with Nick Caserio at his press conference that I know a lot of people saw at least bits and pieces of, and then I know from behind the scenes with the appeal, I've talked to people who had firsthand knowledge of the appeal, and they tried to explain that, hey, look, Brian Branch got ejected from a game, came back the next week and played. Derwin James had multiple ejections. They cited a bunch of guys, a bunch of precedent, to where 3 games felt like a bit much, but it does feel like the league was looking to make some kind of example with the 3 games. I thought 1 game would have been enough, but the 3 games I think is what people have a big problem with here, especially as you and I have just talked about, considering who the opponents are in those 3 games.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be 2 games. I think 3 is a little bit excessive. 1 to me wasn't enough, but we're splitting the difference there when it comes to 2. This Houston team started the year at 5-1. They certainly were trending towards being in the conversation with Kansas City, Buffalo, and Baltimore. They've really faltered. They are now 8-5. What has changed with Houston?
Not a lot, to be honest with you. Like the 5-1 and the 6-2 start. I mean, one of the things that we were saying here in Houston is, man, they sure are playing a lot of close games. They baked into that 5-1 and 6-2 start were last-second wins over Jacksonville at home, games where they were up by multiple scores in the second half and let teams come back into the game. This team's made a habit of playing in close games really since DeMeco Ryans got here last year. They've played 2/3 of the games that DeMeco Ryans has coached in so far have been one-score games. Now, their record in those one-score games is still very, very good. They're 12-6 or 12-7, something like that. But they haven't been a drastically different team all season, from the rough patch here in the middle of the season to the beginning of the season. If you look at their point differential even when they were 6-2, they were barely a positive point differential team. And I think just some of that stuff catches up with you. I think that the area that became the biggest concern when they did start to lose games was the offensive line and the interior of the offensive line. And Chris Jones has got to be licking his chops waiting for this Texans game coming up next Saturday, because the interior of the Texans offensive line has allowed tons of pressure on C.J. Stroud. And I think that's the big, and we may end up talking about you and I about CJ here in a second. I don't know, but CJ's taken a step backwards statistically this year, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that his offensive line, especially the inside part of that offensive line, has just been awful in allowing pressure.
Let's just talk about C.J. Stroud. That is exactly how I feel from the outside looking in. When I got a chance to really watch Houston this year, C.J. Stroud is the same guy. The weapons that they thought they were going to have are now banged up this year, and they maybe have the worst offensive line, at least when it comes to pass protection in the league. So the step in growth that I think people thought he was going to be able to take, he doesn't really have the infrastructure around him to take that big jump this season.
Yeah, I think ultimately, look, C.J. Stroud's a really good quarterback, and he's going to be one of these guys that gets paid in a year or two, whatever it is, and he's going to be around for a long, long time. And I think ultimately they'll look back at this season as one of those learning experiences for him because they know they've got to fix this thing in the offseason, the offensive line. That'll be their big priority. But yeah, that's been the huge problem. I don't know if they have the worst offensive line, Carrington, but they have the worst offensive line of the offensive lines that matter in the NFL. Nobody cares about the offensive line for the crappy teams. Of the teams that we know are going to be in the postseason, the Texans have the biggest problems along the offensive line.
Right now, we're talking to Sean Pendergast here for a couple of more minutes, just getting his thoughts on the Houston Texans. We're taking a look at all of the teams that play this same similar stretch where they play on the 15th, 21st, and 25th. Do you think that Houston is a team that's capable of really making noise? I always say that there is a difference between a playoff team and a Super Bowl contending team. No question about Kansas City, Buffalo, Philadelphia, Detroit, those kind of teams. Do you think that Houston is a team that could put things together for the final 6-7 weeks of the season and make a run in this thing?
I think there's a lot of ifs. I mean, again, we're coming out of the bye week here, so we'll see if they've managed to do some self-scouting and fix some things. If the offensive line keeps playing the way it's been, I don't think so. The one thing they can really hang their hat on, and this is a very difficult thing to hang your hat on because there's so much variability involved, this defense does force a lot of turnovers, and they're not the beneficiary of turnovers. They force them. I mean, this is a ball-hawking secondary. They have an excellent pass rush. There's no better pass rush tandem in the league than Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Hunter. And they've got guys, reinforcements to Danico Autry's on this team, and they've rushed pretty well from the interior this year. I think the defense is capable of going on the road and stealing a second-round game somewhere. They're going to need to win the turnover battle. They're going to need to lean on the defense, and then C.J. Stroud's going to have to put the cape on probably a few times. If they're able to do that, then yeah. I know Kansas City's got the best record in football right now, but you watch it week to week. I mean, I have made more money taking the points on Kansas City the last 2 months. I paid for 4 Christmases with as many times as the Chiefs have not covered the spread. So these teams are all flawed, man. So I think from that standpoint, I mean, they've beaten the Bills already this year, the Texans have. They played the Lions down to a last-second field goal, so they're absolutely capable of getting on the field and standing toe-to-toe with these teams if they're able to execute. So, yeah, I wouldn't put them at the top of the list of teams that could pull off something like that, but they've got the quarterback and the defense, and Joe Mixon has been excellent this year running the football to go do that. But, yeah, those 3 games in 11 days, man, we'll see what the injury report looks like after that, I guess.
Last question here, 2-part question. Are you confident that Netflix is going to work on Christmas Day? Because the last time I watched a live event on Netflix, it did not work. And the people in Houston, are they more excited about the game against the Ravens or the halftime performance with Beyonce?
I think, honestly, I think Beyonce, honestly, and that's no disrespect to the Texans. I think most people, my wife's a season ticket holder. She's like, holy crap, I get a Beyonce concert too with this game. So I think people are really excited about both for sure. But the Beyonce concert and my confidence in Netflix, I am going to say yes. I'm confident. It doesn't really matter to me because I'll be at the game. So this is the first time I've even really thought to care about whether it buffers or anything. And people will be able to watch it here locally anyways on on Fox or whatever because we're one of the markets. But I'm confident that the crew from Netflix takes all the feedback they got online from the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight and got their servers in order for this thing. So we'll see. I think the biggest thing with that Christmas game, Carrington, if the Texans clinch the division in the next game or two, because the magic number's 2 with the Colts, and I think you guys are in a similar situation, just on a higher tier. Like if you're locked in already at being the 1 seed, or in the case of the Texans, the 4 seed, I think there's going to be a lot of questions as to whether you trot certain guys out there on Christmas 4 days after playing on Saturday. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. That is the debate that we've already started having here in Kansas City, just because, for the most part, especially depending on what happens between Buffalo and Detroit, I mean, the Chiefs can have the 1 seed locked up heading into week 17, and then how do you handle those last 2 weeks of the season? I've been pretty steadfast on at least trying to finish the race through the first 16 games of your season and just play an old school NFL regular season. I don't know if you can shut things down and basically have a month between your last game and your first postseason game and think that you're going to come out playing sharp.
No, but you still got week 18. That's my thing. Is I would, if the Texans are locked into the 4 seed going into that Christmas game, I would give serious consideration to making a list of about 10 or 12 guys that don't see the field, put them in bubble wrap, and then treat that Week 18 game like it's the last the preseason game where you play the starters for a half or 2.5 quarters or whatever.
That is Sean Pendergast joining us on the show today. He does fantastic work on Sports Radio 610 down in Houston. Sean, man, happy holidays. Enjoy Beyonce.
Yeah, thanks, Carrington. Merry Christmas, and appreciate you, and thanks for having me on. Enjoy the games.
Absolutely. That is Sean Pendergast joining us on the show. We're going to take a trip around the National Football League and just get various people's opinion on. This is a pretty big stretch that the league is trying. They're going to have teams play on the 15th, the 21st, and the 25th. Those games on Saturday are very important. Also, the 2 games that are on Christmas Day are also very important games as we head into this part of the season. Just want to keep you guys updated on everything that is currently going on. Let's talk about what is turning into, or what has been for the last couple of days, the top story in sports, and that is Bill Belichick taking the job as the North Carolina head coach. He has already had his press conference. Think about this. This thing, at least publicly, has come together in this week. We went from, well, maybe he's going to take it, he's interviewing on Monday, to now he has been named, introduced, signed the contract, and had a press conference today. So this thing has come together in 96 hours. Bill Belichick said this earlier today in his initial press conference.
And so it's great to come back home to Carolina and back in an environment that I really grew up in. When you're little, you don't remember everything. Obviously, I was too young to remember a lot of things from Carolina. But as I grew up, you hear the same story over and over and over and over again. And so one story I always heard was Billy's first words were, "Beat Duke."
I don't know if I've ever heard Bill Belichick tell a joke before. That might be the first time. I'm sure he tells jokes in his personal life. I don't think we have ever heard Bill Belichick tell a joke. Maybe this college thing is going to work out a little bit. So earlier today, I listened to a couple of podcasts and I read 2 stories about how this deal came together. And the thing that I feel almost everybody missed in this conversation is the NFL sent a very, very clear message that the Patriot way is over. It's over. Bill Belichick, at this stage in his career, he's bringing back people that he knows. So Seth Wickersham, who has covered the Patriots, Belichick, and Brady as well as anybody, in the first sentence of his story today, talked about how every week Bill Belichick, Matt Patricia, Michael Lombardi, Josh McDaniel, and a couple of other former Patriots guys would chat over Zoom and have coaches meetings the same way that they used to back in Foxborough. All of those guys were outside of the NFL. And the league, I think, is pretty clearly telling you, we don't believe in that anymore. There was a time, you remember, where the Belichick name could get you a head coaching job in the league. It did that for Matt Patricia. It did that for Josh McDaniels. It did that for Charlie Weiss. It did that for Romeo Crennel. We can name a bunch of people that came through that Belichick system. You know what died with this press conference today? The Patriots way. The league doesn't agree with it anymore. The league doesn't believe in it anymore. You do not take this job if you have the opportunity to get the San Francisco 49ers job, or you got a chance to get the Bears job that could come open, or the Giants job, or whatever job is about to come open here in the next 4 or 5 weeks or so. The league pretty clearly told you, we're done. And you're done here, is what the league told you. We don't want you to bring back all your guys that you're used to working with and try to recreate the Patriots in Arizona. That time is over. That's what I think this message represents more than anything. There was a time where almost every organization in the league was chasing the Patriots way, and they were the blueprint. They were what you needed to do and who you needed to be to have success. People don't buy into that anymore. The coaching tree that Belichick had, it's pretty much died on the vine, right? Vrabel's out the league. Patricia's out the league. McDaniels is out the league. Almost everybody that has a direct line to Bill Belichick is not coaching anymore. We saw the Patriots way, Rob, die right before our very eyes in the last 72 hours or so.
Which is honestly both surprising and not surprising all at the same time. Because there was a time where if you had an affiliation to New England, you were getting a job. And that time existed for a long, long time. Look just at Kansas City. You could argue that when Charlie Weiss was the OC and when Scott Pioli was the GM and Romeo Crennel was the DC and then Charlie Weiss went on to be the KU, like, you could find Patriot connections everywhere in the NFL. They were at every level of football. And slowly but surely, they disappeared because of the not so surprising part, which is it seemed like every time a coach left New England, he stunk. They all stunk always. Weiss at Kansas and Notre Dame and all those places stunk. Romeo Crennel in Cleveland stunk. Eric Mangini with both the Jets and the Browns stunk. Josh McDaniels might be the worst of them. Somehow he's worse than Charlie Weiss. Just abysmal. Like, Matt Patricia's time in Detroit is just hilariously bad. We can go on and on and on. Bill O'Brien might be the shimmering, shining example of success, and no one in Houston, if we called Sean Pendergast back and said, hey, man, let's talk about, your time with Bill O'Brien, he would laugh and speak very poorly of it. It is real bad. Everyone on that coaching tree stunk. So it's most surprising because for much of our lives it was, hey, do you know at one point he's connected to the Patriots? And it was like a bastion of greatness. Oh, but they all stunk. They all failed. And I will real quick make this note before the text line does what the text line does. Mike Vrabel is not considered part of the Belichick coaching tree. Do you know that Vrabel never coached with Belichick? He's played for him, but Vrabel is part of the Urban Meyer coaching tree because he got the job at Ohio State as the DC under Urban Meyer. So the one guy that we think, oh, he's great, played for Belichick, but never came out of that coaching tree. So, like I said, surprising and not surprising all at the same time.
I want to play this audio for you guys, keeping it with the Belichick theme. He still has a media job, or at least he did. I assume he's about to step down from all of his media obligations. I could see him finishing out the year with Pat McAfee just because it's a really big platform, and it's certainly good for recruiting that your coach is so plugged in at the highest level with the most popular sports talk show right now. But here is Bill Belichick. He is on Inside the NFL, and here he is talking about Patrick Mahomes, and he gives him a rave review for a play that he made in the game against the Chargers.
This is a key 3rd and 10 play for Kansas City against the Chargers last week. The Chiefs do, I think, what you would want to do here, which is to send the center Creed to the linebacker and have the back P. Ryan pick up the safety. Of course, that's Derwin James, so a really good blitzer. But it's almost like Mahomes has two sets of eyes. One set to look at the rush and the other set to look downfield and see the receivers. And so his instinctive ability here to slide on the rush, and we have a free blitzer coming out here on the edge, so he slides up and uses this almost as a screen to kind of buy more time in the pocket, come over here, and then with no footwork at all, just jumping up in the air, has the arm strength and the accuracy to just zip that ball to Worthy for a critical 3rd down conversion.
I'm actually going to miss Bill Belichick in the media. This sort of rebrand for him has been very, very good. He's been very, very insightful. None of us question Bill Belichick's football knowledge, but he very rarely shared it with you when he was the coach and giving us straight answers like they were military secrets about his football team. But he's been really enjoyable. He's been really delightful as a media person. And I hope this is the same version that we get in college. I just don't know if you're going to be able to motivate 18, 19, 20-year-old kids and communicate with them the same way that you were able to do that with NFL players. You got to soften up your tone and your message just a little bit, I think, in today's climate. And we'll see if Bill Belichick can do it. It is one of the more exciting experiments that I can remember in recent memory at this level. We are talking about a guy who has always been an NFL coach, who is now deciding to coach in college, and not with all the resources imaginable. He is not taking over at Ohio State or Texas. He is taking over at UNC, a school that has not traditionally had football success. I think there has been some shine that is worn off of Belichick in a post-Brady world. You can get a lot of that back if you go and have success as the head coach at North Carolina. If he gets them to the college football playoff, for example, I don't want to hear this, that he couldn't do it without Tom Brady. You turned North Carolina and made them into what Indiana is right now. I think he's going to be just fine. Keep it right here. You're listening to The Drive on 96.5 The Fan. Let's talk about Thursday Night Football as we have a pretty important game today in the National Football League. That's coming up. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
This man was a bona fide scrub.
On 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Make your first NBA bet a swish with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. FanDuel has all of your favorite bets, from who will win the game to how many points a player will score. Plus, check out some of the newer bets, like how many dunks, assists, or three-pointers will happen in the next 3 minutes of a game. It doesn't matter if you tap into FanDuel before the game or after the game is already tipped off. You can pick up a W whenever, and now is the perfect time to get in on the action, because right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/KFNZ. Use my promo code for your chance to score $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting up is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
Men, we hear it all the time. A man comes in to get his erectile dysfunction treated, and very soon thereafter, he tells us that his relationship is renewed. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and you should know that ED doesn't just affect you, it also often affects your partner. They can feel undesired, unwanted, they may even feel like you don't love them anymore. At Heartland Men's Health, we've successfully treated thousands of men for ED with protocols that have success rates well over 90%, which means if you're like most men, we can get you back to the guy you used to be. You could even last up to an hour or more and find you're performing like you haven't in years. So call us today and give your partner the gift of renewed love. Your first visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in our office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600, or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. That's heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, except the 2024 Subaru Share the Love event. Subaru will donate $250 to a charity of your choice to help those in need this holiday. These charities include the ASPCA, Make-A-Wish Foundation, Meals on Wheels, and the National Park Foundation. And locally, you can choose the Hillcrest Transitional Housing. Have some fun this holiday and fall in love with driving again at Lee Summit Subaru.
Escape to your new coastal seafood paradise. Introducing Aqua Pennies, where the freshest seafood, a full-service raw bar, prime steaks and chops, exquisite handcrafted cocktails, and a one-of-a-kind atmosphere come together in perfect harmony. Aqua Pennies is now open in Park Place, Leawood. Don't miss out. Experience something truly different. Tantalize your taste buds and elevate your evening out. To learn more, go to aquapennies.com.
Coast into Aqua Pennies, now open for lunch.
It's better over here.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare and you want out, you need to get the facts. Wesley Financial Group and its founder, Chuck McDowell, have helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshares permanently, and he may be able to help you too. Call right now. Chuck will send you a timeshare exit information guide free explaining how your timeshare works and all your options for cancellation. You want to call Wesley Financial Group, 800-761-0000. That's 800-761-0000. Once again, 800-761-0000.
Old Spice Swagger Holiday Pack, perfect for a gift to treat yourself. 24/7 holiday freshness with daily use can smell your bestest. I'm gonna be smelling great all season. Old Spice scents just can't be beaten. Chock full of value, saving that green. Got the essentials needed to feel clean. Deodorant, hair, body wash, and spray. Celebrate your holiday the Old Spice way. Ho 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 ho.
This afternoon, expect mostly sunny skies with a high of 35.
Weather brought to you by Staples. Your local Staples store has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. Save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
Patrick Mahomes joins CDOT every week during the season, right here on 96.5 The Fan.
All right, let's talk about Thursday night football. There are actually not many division races that are still in contention. And the NFC West is, in fact, one of those divisions that we don't know who is going to win it yet. So if you're looking at the NFC West, the Seahawks are 8-5. They play on Sunday Night Football against the Packers. The Rams are 7-6. Arizona and San Francisco are both 6-7. Now, Rob, it seems very difficult to me to find a pathway for San Francisco to win their division if they can't take care of business tonight. There's not a lot of time left in the season. Like, we can play this, oh, it's early. No, it ain't early. Christmas is in a couple of days. And if you are San Francisco, you have the Rams on the road against Miami. You play Detroit on Monday Night Football on the 30th of December, and then you go on the road in Arizona. At a minimum, you need to win the 2 games that are in your division, and you probably need to split between Miami and Detroit. The Niners need to go at least 3-1 if we're going to talk about them making the postseason. If you go 3-1, that puts you at 9-8. Is that going to be enough to win the NFC West? I'm not entirely sure. I'm also not even sure if that's going to be enough to get you a wild card spot in the NFC. The NFC is actually really competitive when we're talking about the wild card teams and making the postseason. If the playoffs started today, the wild card teams in the NFC would be Minnesota. They have 11 wins. Green Bay already has 9 wins, and the Commanders have 8 wins. So, Rob, I'm not even sure if 9-8 is going to get you that 7th spot in the NFC playoffs with how good that wild card is. Their best chance is probably going to be to win the NFC West, and there just really isn't a pathway for San Francisco if they don't win today. Today has very much a playoff feel depending on who wins.
I mean, this could be the last stand for the San Francisco 49ers tonight. Like, I think it does have a playoff feel, and that division is interesting, and the Rams and all the parts you mentioned. But I think for me, tonight could be the end of the Niners. The Niners, this iteration of them, has faced the Chiefs twice in the Super Bowl and has been one of the better, if not best, teams in the NFC. But if they lose tonight, I think they're all but done now. But if they lose tonight, it's over in the NFC West, and you have massive questions going forward. Massive. Do you pay Brock Purdy? George Kittle's getting older. Trent Williams battling injuries here. He's getting much older. You have those things. Debo and Brandon Ayuk. Debo has not looked like that one season of Debo ever since. Fred Warner's getting a year older. That defense is in regression. Like, the NFC West and what is happening in the division race is interesting to me. But it's more interesting to me tonight. If the Rams win, are we burying and closing the window on the Niners? Because they have a lot more questions than answers going forward.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit premature on San Francisco. This was just one of those years that San Francisco, everything that could go wrong it just did go wrong at some point this year. Basically, since this team broke for training camp. Remember, they had the incident this summer with Ricky Pearsall where he was shot in a robbery attempt. They had a contract dispute with Brandon Ayuk. Brock Purdy got hurt. They didn't have Christian McCaffrey for basically the entire season. Like, Christian McCaffrey has not been there this year. Brandon Ayuk tore his ACL. Just San Francisco, I thought, really beat you because they didn't have a whole lot of weaknesses. Even in the face of all of the injuries that they have, we're still talking about a team that is 6-7 and certainly right there in the conversation for making the playoffs. So I don't want to say that today is the potentially end of this San Francisco team. I'm also surprised that you have that opinion about Brock Purdy. I don't really understand what the argument would be to not pay Brock Purdy. I think he has been one of the better and most consistent quarterbacks in the National Football League. And, I mean, since he's taken over, he has not really been an issue for San Francisco. I'm also not really sure if you're going to really improve at the position if you move on from Brock Purdy. I think he's been pretty good since he's taken over. He has made 33 starts in his career. He's played in 37 games. They're 23-10 with Brock Purdy as a starter, and he has 60 touchdown passes and 23 interceptions. I would pay Brock Purdy. Now, how is that contract structured? What does it look like? What kind of flexibility? Those are questions that you got to ask when you pay any quarterback, but I don't really have that many concerns with paying Brock Purdy moving forward. He's somebody that I would take care of.
Here's my question, though, with Brock Purdy. If it is the end of the era tonight with the Niners, and you're tearing it down to rebuild it. Because Trent Williams is 39 years old? Is he really your left tackle of the future? Probably not. Fred Warner is nearing 30 years old? George Kittle is around Travis Kelce's age, 32, 33, 34. Like, their pieces are getting older. That's just, it's the nature of the NFL, but they are getting older around that team. It might be tear down and restart time. If you are tearing down and restarting an organization, ripping it down to the studs and trying to build it back up, do you think you are going to be successful with Brock Purdy in doing that? And that's probably the difference between me and you on Brock Purdy. I think at the end of today's game, if they lose, John Lynch and co. will say, okay, it's time to rip it apart. This group had its run. They have multiple NFC championships. They had multiple NFC championship game appearances. This era of Niners football was very good. But going forward, we have to overhaul the roster. And if you're overhauling the roster, is the person you're building around, the person you're putting money around, Brock Purdy? Because I think one of the reasons Brock Purdy is successful is because he's not asked to do too much. And I think we don't ask him to do too much because he's on a 7th-round pick contract and he's fine. But let's say he gets Trevor Lawrence contract. He's going to be judged at a different standard. And does he hold up to that standard? I don't know. That's why I think the future of Brock Purdy is fascinating, is you can't keep this group together forever. And this group seems to have made Brock Purdy's career. Can Brock Purdy be the guy that makes the next wave's career?
Yeah, and I also think that's just where you're trusting John Lynch, where you drafted a majority of these players the first time. You just got to restart that process, and you got to continue to draft star players. You did a fantastic job finding Brock Purdy. You made the trade for Christian McCaffrey. You brought Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. You drafted George Kittle. They have just had a phenomenal development when it comes to finding stars. And like any organization, like any franchise, you got to continue to find those stars. I want to play what Patrick Mahomes had to say coming up at the top of the hour. We are gonna head to Cleveland and take our first look at this upcoming opponent for the Kansas City Chiefs. Here is Patrick Mahomes. Here he is talking about the stretch of games that the Chiefs have in a very condensed period of time.
It's not like a good feeling. I'm excited to play on Christmas, to hopefully get back from what we did last year, but you never want to play this many amount of games in this short of time. It's just not great for your body, but at the end of the day, it's your job, your profession. You have to come to work and do it.
This is what I don't understand. I guess I understand it, I don't like it. Your most valuable asset, if you're the league, is telling you, we don't like this. One of the most important defensive players in the league is telling you, we don't like this. And yet we're doing it? For what? We, as a society, never asked for the NFL to play on Christmas. You guys want to play on Christmas. You want the money. You saw that Netflix was handing out a check. You guys want this. we were fine without it. This isn't a traditional Sunday. It'd be one thing if Christmas was on a Sunday. Well, hey, that's when you guys play. You guys got to go work then. That's perfectly fine. We're asking 4 teams to go above and beyond to go get this paper for the rest of the league. Now, we can disagree on Thursday Night Football and all of these other things. There is not a single player who has come out about this stretch of games and said, we think that this is good. And the league, they just beat you over the head so much with player safety, yet turn around and do things like this. It just makes absolutely no sense. The league, I think, pretty routinely tells us that they don't care. And I also think that they just bet on the fact that the public isn't going to care. You guys make a whole lot of money to go play a game, go out there and do it, and we don't care about any of the other particulars. I just don't know then how you can officiate the game the way that you do with such an emphasis on player safety and then have the players in a very short recovery time go out and put themselves in that position. It just seems very hypocritical and talking out of both ends of their mouth. Coming up at the top of the hour, let's head to Cleveland, Ohio to take our first look at the Browns. That's coming up. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
With us is Dr. Christian Hedinger with KCUC, Kansas City Urology Care. What makes KCUC the best?
Hands down, that's our physicians and our experience. We have combined hundreds of years of experience amongst our over 50 providers, radiation oncologists, medical oncologists, and urologists, often practicing under the same roof, who can provide the best integrated care to our patients. We've recruited surgeons from the Mayo Clinic, Harvard, Stanford, UCLA, and many of the other best institutions providing care in kidney, prostate, and bladder cancer. We often can provide our patients care from diagnosis to treatment to labs to scans to medications, all under one roof, all in an office setting as opposed to a hospital. We've assembled all of these physicians that are close to all different parts of Kansas City.
See the experts at Kansas City Urology Care. At KCUC, you see the best in KC. To make an appointment, visit kcuc.com.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-583-5795.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-583-5795. That's 800-583-5795.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Christmas is just around the corner. And if you're wondering what gifts to give friends and family, no worries. Gates Barbecue is here to help. Gates gift packs and combo packs are tasty gifts for the barbecue lover on your list. And Gates gift cards and logo apparel are perfect stocking stuffers, or if you're exchanging gifts at the office or you have family out of town. Visit their website, gatesbbq.com, and ship right to their front door. Remember, buy Gates. It's a Kansas City tradition.
The election is finally over. Now you can get the cash you need. Imagine what you could do with $50,000. Pay off credit cards, do home improvements, or even pay off auto loans. Golden Oak's mortgage rate is 5.25%. There's no out-of-pocket costs, so call today and make no payments until next year. Call 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Lending cured my blues.
6.19 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
The holidays are happening at Diamonds Direct. Still rushing to finish your holiday shopping? Don't worry, we've got you covered. This weekend only, it's our last chance sale with 20% off virtually everything. Earrings, bracelets, pendants, and more. Plus special financing options up to 5 years. But don't wait, this is your final opportunity to find the perfect gift at the best value before the holidays. Plus special designer appearances. Visit us during extended holiday hours or shop online and pick up in store. Our 20% off last chance sale ends Sunday. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com.
It's winter clearance time at Volkswagen Lee Summit. Get up to $5,000 off the 24 Jetta, 24 Taos, and 24 Tiguan, and up to $8,000 off the 24 Atlas and Atlas Crossport. Hurry in before we sell out of 24s. Visit VWLeeSummit.com.
Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Brought to you by the Kansas City Symphony.
Tenors, tubas, and talking snowmen. Experience them all with the Kansas City Symphony with the holiday lineup featuring the Texas Tenors, Christmas Festival, and Frozen in Concert. See the full schedule and get tickets at kcsymphony.org. There's no wrong way to symphony.
We got a new function on the Odyssey app.
Did you guys know that this is a thing? I can send you messages from the Odyssey app. Kind of crazy.
KFNZ FM and AM HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, in Odyssey Sports Station.
Welcome into the drive on 96.5 The Fan. Let's head to the phone lines right now and head to Cleveland, Ohio to take a closer look at this week's opponent for the Kansas City Chiefs. Daryl Ryder joins us on the show today. He is with 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Daryl, happy to have you join us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. The Browns might be one of the few teams that you can say, hey, they're much better with their backup quarterback than they were with their starting quarterback. They certainly have a lot more explosiveness, and this could be a game that I could see Cleveland scoring 24, 27 points. I could not see that with their old quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, things have certainly changed for the Browns since Jameis Winston took over. The offense was struggling to score 16 points a game. That is no longer the case. Winston is certainly putting up some pretty good numbers. Jerry Jeudy is second in the NFL in receiving yardage behind Jamar Chase since week 8, which is when Winston took over. So, I know the Browns are 3-10, and they're basically an afterthought in the NFL, but I actually look at this game as one that the Browns could actually win this week if the Chiefs aren't careful.
Yeah, I feel the same way, and a lot of that is just based on Jameis. I have no clue what to expect from Jameis. Like, you could tell me that on Monday we're talking about him throwing for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. I could see that. I also think that we could be talking about Jameis Winston threw for 210 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions, and Kansas City won this game. I just have no clue what he's going to give you on a week-by-week basis.
Oh, I kind of do. That's the Jameis Winston experience, right? He's gonna extend plays. He's gonna throw it downfield. He'll throw touchdowns, and then he's gonna throw some interceptions. He giveth, he taketh. That is the full Jameis Winston experience. It's certainly what we have seen here. 13 touchdowns, 9 interceptions since he's taken over at quarterback. And really, that game that he had in Denver against the Broncos encapsulates the Jameis Winston experience, right? He sets a team record with 497 yards in passing. He throws 4 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions, and 2 of those went for pick sixes. And the Browns end up losing the football game. So I pretty much week in and week out, I know exactly what Jameis Winston is as a quarterback. He's a lot of fun. But he's not a winning quarterback. You're not going to win a whole lot with him. But when you're a team that's struggling like the Browns are, or if you're a team that is going through a transitional period, I feel like he's the perfect guy to have in your locker room, to have on the field where winning is not expected because he does bring such a positive attitude both on the field and behind the scenes. And it is amazing to me how he does not allow mistakes he makes to snowball and to completely derail situations. Case in point, in Denver, late in that first half, he throws a pick six, right? He comes right back down the field, and I think he threw a 70-yard touchdown right after that, right after the pick six. Like, he just has this ability to compartmentalize the bad stuff that happens on the field. And for better or worse, I do feel like that's an important attribute that any player has. But I just wish that Jameis threw a fewer interceptions, and obviously the Browns do as well.
Right now, we're talking to Daryl Ryder. He is with 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, taking our first look at the Browns and getting their perspective on things. I do have another quarterback question. This is more big picture than related to Saturday. What do you think the plan is for 2025? Is the plan to bring back Deshaun Watson? I know the contract says that you kind of have to bring him back, but he was just so bad last year that could you see Cleveland moving in a different direction?
I think that if they bring him back, they are asking for failure. That's just where I'm at with him. He could not throw for 200 yards in the first 7 games this season. This offense could not move, could not score. They could not convert first downs. They were behind the sticks pretty much on a regular basis. I mean, it was – I made this analogy early in the season, and a lot of Browns fans didn't appreciate it from me, but I just was calling it the way I saw it. Like, it was 1999 expansion level Cleveland Browns football. And actually, it was worse than that because that expansion Browns team was actually able to score 20 points in a game on occasion. And then the 0-16 and 1-15 Browns teams in the middle of last decade, those offenses could score 20 points in a game here or there. And Deshaun couldn't do it. The guy you're paying $46 million a year, a guy that you're expecting to be your version of Patrick Mahomes or your version of, a Tom Brady type, right? The franchise guy that can elevate you to compete for Super Bowls. And this guy struggles to put a field goal drive together. So I just think that the writing is on the wall. He's not played a complete season since 2020. He has sat out a year. He has been suspended for 11 games. He has missed 11 games because of shoulder surgery, and he's missing the rest of this season because he's having Achilles surgery. That is, by my math, 4 years. On no planet is he coming back in year 5 and returning to form. I think he's washed. He's done. And the sooner the Browns admit their colossal mistake and move on from this guy, the better off that they're going to be. They're just going to have to swallow the final 2 guaranteed years remaining on this deal for 2025 and 2026. They're going to have to do some salary cap gymnastics to absorb these massive cap hits that he has remaining, $72 million and change for the next 2 years, and then he's got another one for like $26 million because when they do the restructures, they put some voidable years on the back end of the deal to kind of lower his current cap number. So I don't know how they're going to work around this thing, but from my perspective, under no circumstances can you play Deshaun Watson as a Cleveland Brown ever again.
Daryl, can you just imagine if we can just go back in time, and I will ask you about this game, but just the Browns quarterback situation is one of the most intriguing stories to me in the league. Can you imagine if I took you back to 2018 and I told you that Jameis would be more beloved than Deshaun Watson? Like, there was a time where Deshaun was one of the faces of the league. It was Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Deshaun Watson, and people loved Deshaun. Right. He was, Walter Payton Man of the Year, and now to see what his career has turned into, and then you think about Jameis, the exact opposite reputation coming into the league, and now people find Jameis to be one of the funnier players in the league. It is funny how the roles has reversed.
Yeah, it is, and obviously circumstances for both, extremely similar in some respects, but also, different. And it is. And I mean, look, I wish we could hop in a DeLorean and go back and draft Patrick Mahomes. I wish we could hop in a DeLorean and draft Josh Allen instead of Baker Mayfield, even though Baker was part of the reason the Browns were able to kind of get out of the ditch there. This franchise for the last 25 years has made so many mistakes at the quarterback position. It's why they have had 21 losing seasons since returning to the league, and 18 of those 21 losing seasons are by 10 or more losses, and that includes this year. They're already at 10 and counting with 4 games to go here. So their inability to find a franchise quarterback has doomed this organization since the very, very beginning of rebirth, I should say, in 1999. And the fact that they made this mistake with Watson now, it is one that is going to hamstring this franchise, because this was supposed to be the window of contention for them. That AFC divisional playoff game between the Browns and Chiefs, right? And then the two teams played to open the season against each other. Like, I honestly thought a couple of years ago, like, this was the new AFC rivalry. It was going to be Browns and Chiefs, not so much Bengals and Chiefs, not so much, anyone else that's coming after the Chiefs, Bills and Chiefs. Like, I really thought, like, okay, Browns, Chiefs, this is going to be a lot of fun for the years to come. And ever since that divisional playoff game, these two franchises went in opposite directions. The Chiefs went on to win Super Bowls, and, the Browns went back to being, the Cleveland Browns.
Right now, we're talking to Daryl Ryder for a couple more minutes here. He's with 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, taking a closer look at the Browns, getting you ready for their game on Sunday against Kansas City. All right, let's talk about the game component of it. I mean, Cleveland beat Baltimore earlier this year. They also beat Pittsburgh. So they have beaten playoff teams. Right. They have beaten teams that you think can win the Super Bowl. How did they beat those two teams? How do you think that can translate to them potentially pulling off the upset on Sunday against Kansas City?
Well, the problem for the Browns is that they do, especially once in a quarterback, like, at least offensively they have a shot. But the problem for the Browns has been defensively the big plays allowed. They give up the most explosive plays in the National Football League this season. And they've given up a ton of plays of over 30 yards as well. And what's interesting is there's no common thread for it. 1 minute it's a missed assignment. 1 minute it's missed tackles. The other minute it's guys in the wrong gap. Another minute it's miscommunication. Another time it's a blown coverage, right? And that's been, I think, the frustrating thing for defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz, because I've asked him about it a couple of times. And he's like, listen, man, like, if there was one common thing, don't you think I would have fixed it already? So that's been the biggest problem for the Browns on the defensive side, is they give up a lot of explosive plays, which obviously that's not great with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and company coming to Cleveland this weekend. But on the bright side for the Browns here, like, the Chiefs are a charmed team, with all due respect to Chiefs Kingdom out there. They're 10-0 in one-score games. They have 7 game-winning drives for Patrick Mahomes. 6 games have been, if I'm correct, 6 games have been decided on the final play, and they've won all 6. So for me, the key for the Browns is have the lead in the final 4 minutes of the game, and then make sure Patrick Mahomes does not touch the football the rest of the game. And if they can do that, they got a shot. But if it's a one-score game and Patrick Mahomes gets another shot, I obviously like his chances to come out of Cleveland with win number 13 for the Chiefs.
Daryl, it seems to me that if Cleveland's going to pull off this upset, it's really about how well Myles Garrett plays, where if you could find a weakness on Kansas City, it is the fact that Garrett could just be a disruptor, really take advantage of the tackle position for Kansas City and disrupt this game. Is there another pathway you see Cleveland potentially pulling off the upset?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, Myles is the Browns' once in a lifetime type of, defensive pass rusher. He's a half sack away from hitting 100 in his career. Very few players in the NFL have done that before their 29th birthday. Myles turns 29 here in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I mean, look, if they can force Patrick Mahomes into, making mistakes, and I realize that sounds really ridiculous for me to say because Patrick Mahomes doesn't really make a lot of mistakes. But if they can find a way to create a turnover or two and not themselves give Mahomes and the Chiefs offense additional possessions by turning the ball over. I think the Browns running game, which has been, it's been sporadic at best, and I think I'm being kind there. If they can find some way to play some ball control football, keep away football, and I realize, Mahomes, you give that guy 30 seconds and he could put 7 on the board against you. But if the Browns can control the tempo and control the ball and keep that Chiefs offense on the sidelines, yeah, I think that there is a chance. And obviously, offensively, the Browns have to make the plays that are there to be made. Jerry Jeudy has to have a big game. David Njoku, not sure if he's going to play. He hasn't practiced the last 2 days. That's kind of a big thing here because he's so important to this offense. But you got guys like Cedric Tillman and Elijah Moore. Tillman's coming off a concussion. Looks like he might be able to play after practicing a couple of days this week. But yeah, if they can play some ball control type football against the Chiefs, Myles Garrett can get a little help on the defensive side and create a couple of turnovers. Yeah, I think that the Browns can make this a very difficult afternoon for Kansas City.
That is Daryl Ryder joining us on the show. He does fantastic work with 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Wanted to get his thoughts on the Browns as that is the Chiefs' next opponent. Daryl, great stuff today, man. Happy holidays. Appreciate your time.
Same to you and your listeners. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That is Daryl Ryder joining us on the show. I do want to get back to sports in just a little bit. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the news, but Taylor Swift earlier today was at Children's Mercy. She was going around taking pictures, signing autographs, doing all of those things. We don't have to spend too much time on this, but every single person has to appreciate what she just did. Rob, you saw what I saw. She didn't show up with the camera crew. She didn't show up with the entourage. She showed up with her normal security detail and walked around and was visiting with kids and taking pictures and signing autographs and doing all those things. She didn't even post about it on social media. Other people have been posting and talking about it on social media. She does not have to do that. She just finished a tour in which they had over 140 dates. She is here in Kansas City to spend time with her boyfriend, here to spend time for her family for the holidays. She did not have to spend any amount of time today walking around and meeting kids and taking pictures at Children's Mercy Hospital. So the fact that the most famous woman in the world and one of the most famous people in the world would spend any time today going around and meeting people and taking pictures and didn't want any of the clout from it, you got to tip your cap to that 100%.
Little peek behind the curtain here for listeners. Sometimes when athletes or celebrities are in town, you get a press release. So-and-so will be at such and such place. And, I'm not taking away from those people's position. They are also trying to help and all those things. But they make sure that local media, local TV, local camera crews know, hey, this celebrity will be at this location at this time doing this thing for these people. And it is great PR for them, and everyone wins. I didn't know anything about Taylor Swift being at Children's Mercy Hospital. You didn't know anything about it. It sounds like everyone knew nothing about it until this video popped up of her leaving and saying goodbye to all the nurses. Taylor Swift is as good for this community as anyone who has come into it as an outsider. She has been incredible for Kansas City.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get back to football here because I just want to address a couple of the text messages. This is one thing that I think you guys know this. I don't know how you guys will take it, so maybe not even preface it, though. I think every time that we do these interviews with another city, I think you get a chance to hear. I'm not going to say that other teams think that they are going to beat Kansas City because that's clearly not the case. They only have one loss this season. But there is no reason to think that your team does not have a chance against Kansas City. Like, we used to kind of talk about these teams, Rob, like, hey, Kansas City's about to come into your city. They're about to blow you out, demoralize you, and then head back home. I don't really think there's reason to talk about that or talk about the Chiefs in that way. Are the Chiefs going to win this game? More than likely. If the Browns win this will be the biggest upset of the NFL season. It's different beating two teams that are in your division the way that they have of late than beating a team that is not in your division. You don't have the information on Kansas City the way that you do with Pittsburgh or Baltimore. So this would be the biggest upset, the biggest surprise of the NFL season. But if you're Cleveland and you see, Well, the Raiders kept it close, and we think that our talent's pretty comparable to theirs. If you saw Carolina also keep it close against them, you saw them play the Chargers it only builds confidence and belief in you that you are going to have a chance late to win this game. Now, again, what does that mean? Ultimately, if the Chiefs have more points than you, it doesn't really matter one way or the other. You lost, and go ahead and get ready for the NFL draft. But what I've picked up on the tone of the people that we have had join this show from other cities is there's no reason to go into these games not feeling like your team has a chance. You're probably not going to win. The odds say you are not going to win. But the odds also say that heading into the fourth quarter, you are going to have a chance to win, and it comes down to how your team executes. That heading into the final 5 minutes of this game, you are going to have a chance to beat the best team in the National Football League. And I think that has been a common thread in almost every single interview that we've done.
There was a time where we did these interviews, we'd have someone on for the opposing team, and you would always ask, Chiefs win if, opponent wins if. And people would respond like it was a joke. That they pray if Patrick Mahomes misses the bus, if Andy Reid decides he doesn't want to coach today, if the team doesn't take the field, like, hey, how does the other team beat the Chiefs? And they would just laugh. Like, there's no way that it can be the Chiefs. Like, why even ask me that? Now, yeah, more times than not they're going to lose. And it's not just they're laying out any given Sunday answers. But when you ask a host in Cleveland or you asked a host in Charlotte, hey, how does the other team win this game? I mean, there's a football answer. It might not play out that way, but it's a real possibility. It's not well, I hope Andy Reid gets stuck at Waffle House and doesn't come to the game, like what used to exist. There are real football reasons to pick the opponent, but the Chiefs continue just to win the game. It's not – that is where I've noticed the lack of dominance more than anything. When we have those opposing people on, they don't just laugh it off like we have no shot. They actually give football reasons why the Chiefs' loss could happen.
And I would say, and I'm not here to fearmonger by any means, but I've told you guys, like I'm taking Cleveland serious this week. I would say that Cleveland, their two strengths also line up with what we think Kansas City's two weaknesses are. Cleveland is going to be able to attack the Chiefs secondary. Now, Jameis is going to give you a couple of opportunities to force turnovers and take the ball away, but Jameis can throw for 300 yards against Kansas City, and Cleveland is going to be able to move the ball against Kansas City because of how their offense works. So that's one side of it. Your secondary is banged up. Your secondary is inexperienced. Cleveland can take advantage of that in their passing game. They also have arguably the best defensive player in the National Football League who can very much exploit your tackle situation. We're not sure what's going to happen with DJ Humphries, and also Jawan Taylor is limited in practice as well, and the tackle positions have been the most vulnerable on that offensive line. So if you look at how Cleveland tries to win games or how Cleveland could win a game, I think their strengths kind of line up with your weakness, and just given how the Chiefs play, this game is going to be close in the last 15 minutes of it. Now, Cleveland will probably end up doing some Cleveland things, and Jameis will end up doing those things. They had a chance to go on the road and beat the Broncos. They had a chance to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had Kadarius Toney. He fumbled here. He made another mistake, and that ended up being a big shift. There is a reason why winners win, and there is a reason why losers lose. I'm guessing that Sunday around 2:15, 2:30, we are going to know why the Chiefs are potentially going to win the Super Bowl and how the Browns could potentially have the number one overall pick, because one team has mastered winning and knows exactly how to win, and the Browns, for basically our entire life, they have figured out and discovered new ways to lose.
I mean, we know what Monday's show is without knowing what the game is. We're going to have conversations about how whoever the backup left tackle is, whether it be Tooney or Wanye or, heaven forbid, Kingsley, struggled at times against Myles Garrett. We're going to have a conversation about how Jameis had a weirdo pregame speech. That is my favorite thing that hits the internet every Sunday or Monday. He's going to have a weirdo pregame speech. He's going to throw for more yards than you imagine. You're going to think, how is this secondary get up 315 to Jameis? He's going to probably give one away, despite the fact the Chiefs don't really turn people over. Jameis might be colorblind. He's going to give one away, and the game is going to end like 27-21, and we're going to say the Chiefs win again, but why was it close again? And the story is written with the Browns game. It's just a matter of 2 to 3 plays every game that the Chiefs make or the opponent can't make. That's what's going to happen. The Raiders game, The Raiders couldn't make the play. The play was snapping the ball. The Chiefs win. Broncos game. The Chiefs make the play. The Chiefs win the game. Panthers game. The Chiefs make the play. They win the game. There are those moments in every single Chiefs game where either the opponent just fails or the Chiefs rise to the occasion. And we know for a fact we're going to see that on Sunday at some point in Cleveland, whatever corporate name they call their stadium now.
Coming up on the other side, I want to play something that Nick said earlier today. He was on Colin Cowherd's podcast talking about Bill Belichick, and he said something in relation to Andy Reid and Bill Belichick that I want to play for you guys that I did not realize. Maybe you didn't realize it either. I'll play it for you. Keep it right here. So drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Hey, it's Carrington from The Drive here, and I just found out that Daisy Sour Cream launched French onion and ranch sour cream dips. I love some dip. And these new dips from Daisy Sour Cream are an absolute game changer. They taste just as good as if they were homemade. They're made with Daisy Sour Cream, real herbs and spices. The new dips from Daisy Sour Cream are made with ingredients you can find in your kitchen, nothing more. Give these new French onion and ranch dips from Daisy a try. They go perfect with all your favorite chips, wings, veggies. Celebrate the holidays with Daisy dips.
Here's another great reason to use the United States Postal Service this season. Your boxes are wrapped and the gifts are in. Our employees are ready. Let the holiday ride begin. Let's start with the price. It's easy to manage when you ship with the reliable USPS Ground Advantage. In just a few days, it's sure to arrive. We're working nonstop to keep the spirit alive. USPS Ground Advantage, the affordable and reliable shipping solution for the holidays. Visit USPS.com/advantage.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here with the Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Please gamble responsibly. Coming up Week 15 Pro Football Sunday, Arizona hosting New England. Arizona, a 6-point home favorite. Total in the game is 46. Arizona, 3 straight losses. New England coming off the bye. Lean towards New England at the point spread of 6. I like New England's young rookie quarterback being able to score points in this game, keep it close. And that takes me to what I really like in this game, which is to go over the total, over 46. Arizona's offense is struggle, but I expect Arizona's quarterback to have success against the New England defense. And again, love New England's rookie quarterback, so let's go over 46 on Sunday. New England at Arizona. That's it for this Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the BetMGM app today. Please gamble responsibly.
BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kansas only. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Brew Brothers at Harris, Kansas City, now open. Dine on mouth-watering appetizers, then feast on one of our 6 American Wagyu burgers, including the Bacon Jam Burger and Blazing Burger. Wash it down with your favorite ice-cold beverage, all while watching the game on one of our 45 TVs. Dine in or carry out. Brew Brothers at Harris, Kansas City always hits the spot. Brew Brothers and Brew Brothers Express are now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-BETS-OFF.
Hey investors, this is JD again with Crossroads Investment Lending. Still wanting to get in that fix and flip game? Don't have the money? Maybe you've always wanted to get yourself a rental property. We can help you get in the door. Call the fix and flip guys at Crossroads Investment Lending, 913-766-2900, or go to kclend.com. That's KCLEND.com. Get started in the fix and flip game. What are you waiting for? That's Crossroads Investment Lending, 913-766-2900 or kclend.com.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks VapoStick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors.
Use as directed. VapoStick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Blaupunkt Americas, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bikes, and our collegiate e-bikes just perfect for the college fanatic. These e-bikes offer a new way to experience freedom on 2 wheels, no matter your age. When we needed a top-notch website to match our cutting-edge e-bikes, we turned to AmericanEagle.com. They made the impossible seem easy, tackling digital challenges like pros. Check out the Blue Dot Bike website to see AmericanEagle.com's amazing work in action. Need the best in website and digital marketing solutions? AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW-1. That's 877-WEB-NOW-1.
Hey guys, it's Jim Costa from Cash the Ticket. If you're planning on betting college football bowl games, good luck. No, seriously, it's never been harder. And you don't want to be hurting your bankroll. You want to make sure you're doing your homework. Listen to Cash the Ticket. Mike Valeni and I will be breaking down every single bowl game, dropping new episodes nearly every day throughout college football's postseason. Spicing things up with a 12-team playoff. Can't wait to see some of those teams from the South come up north for the snow. Be sure to subscribe to Cash the Ticket on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
What's up, Kansas City? It's Mitchell Schwartz. Join me at the Buffalo Wild Wings located off 105th and Metcalf in Overland Park on Friday, December 13th. I'll be there with the crew from 6 to 8 p.m. eating some wings and drinking $5 Bud Lights. For more details, go to 965thefan.com.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Missouri side 71 northbound, slow rolling past 87th. Stays heavy up past 75th Street, where there's a stalled off to the shoulder. Folks are avoiding that right lane. Heading 435 westbound, sluggish from Holmes to the state line. Alan Carr, 96.5 The Fan, traffic.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. The Drive with Carrington Harrison. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 96.5 The Fan.
Welcome back into the show. Let me play some audio for you guys. Our dear friend Nick Wright, he was on the Colin Cowherd podcast. Listen to this. Listen to how close Andy Reid is to passing Bill Belichick in a couple important stats.
The Andy Reid thing, I don't think people realize how close it is. The Shula record.
Yeah.
So Andy's at 296. Shula's at 347. Belichick's at 333. So Andy is 51 wins away. He has, prior to this year, he had coached Mahomes for 6 years. They had 90 wins, regular season and playoffs, those 6 years. That's exactly 15 a year. So if Andy coaches, for 3 more years, he should be right there. And if he coaches for 4, he'll have it. He's 5 playoff wins behind Bill. He'll get that in the next, I would imagine, 3 years as well.
Which is really remarkable when you consider you'd think it would be 30
it's
behind.
Remarkable. It's and so he's going to, unless he retires, and he just signed a new 5-year, $100 million deal, he's going to catch him in playoff wins and in regular season wins.
So that was Nick earlier today. He was on the Colin Cowherd podcast. I wanted to play that for you. I did not realize how close Andy Reid was to catching up with Bill Belichick. 51 wins off of the total number, 5 playoff wins off the record for most playoff wins. Now, I do think it is going to be a very interesting comparison. I think it's going to be pretty difficult for Mahomes to pass Brady, given Brady beat him head-to-head in an AFC championship game and also a Super Bowl. So I think the tie is going to almost always go to Brady in that conversation. But on the flip side, we have now seen Andy do it with Patrick Mahomes and without Patrick Mahomes. Now, sure, Andy didn't win a championship until he got Patrick Mahomes, but he had a very successful career with the Philadelphia Eagles. Also was doing pretty well in Kansas City, and then Mahomes came, and they have gone on a tear in the National Football League. I do think that it is going to be easier to come away feeling like Andy Reid is the greatest coach of all time, and his pathway to being the greatest of all time is a little bit easier than Mahomes, especially, and I know that it's not going to 100% factor in because he is doing it at the college level, It is not crazy to think that Bill Belichick's career is going to end with the North Carolina Tar Heels at 4-8 and him walking off the field after a loss to Duke. And if you were telling me that we saw what it looked like post Tom Brady in the National Football League, you then went to college and also failed there, I think you're going to have a tough time keeping people with the mindset that Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time, despite all the accolades. The worst thing that ever happened to Bill Belichick was Tom Brady had success without him. If Tom Brady had gone to Tampa Bay and just been okay, if Tom Brady had left and turned into what we've seen Russell Wilson turn into, I think we look at Belichick a lot different. But for a decade, we argued who was more important. And a lot of people argued that Belichick was more important. Well, Belichick stayed in the divorce, and Brady left. And Brady had more success than Bill did and played at a high level, came second in the MVP voting, also won a Super Bowl while he was a quarterback of another team. And Belichick didn't come close to any of those things. The Andy Reid argument, by the time this ride is over, whenever it could end, it might end in 5 years, 7 years. None of us know with Andy, and we're all waiting to see what the answer to that is going to be. Reid could have an argument at the end of this thing of being the greatest coach of all time. Belichick is going to have more Super Bowls than him, more than likely. But outside of that, and I know it sounds crazy to say, but you get the context of the debate, outside of the just sheer number of Super Bowl wins, you could make a case that Andy Reid was a better coach in almost every other metric by the time this thing is over.
I mean, I agree with all that. And then you add in a potential three-peat, something that Bill Belichick had never done. Like, Nick's numbers are fascinating. Maybe it's ignorance by me. I didn't realize how likely it is that Reid is going to catch Belichick in the next 2 to 3, maybe 4 years if things go real bad. But if he passes him in regular season wins, he passes him in playoff wins, even if he's short of him in Super Bowls, if he gets the three-peat, I wonder if that becomes the trump card. If that becomes it doesn't matter you beat me in 2018 in the playoffs. It doesn't matter. I got a three-peat and you didn't. I wonder if Andy Reid can, in a way, solidify his resume to catch Belichick this season by doing something Belichick never did and then catching Belichick and those other things. I think that's more important to Reid's case than what happens with Belichick in North Carolina. Because let's say Belichick goes to North Carolina and they're fine. 3 years, 8-4, 9-3, good college football seasons, no playoff appearances, a couple Mayo Bowls, whatever.
I actually think Belichick gets a lot of credit if that's what happens.
I don't think he can. I don't think his resume then holds up to Reid's because Reid would have been doing it in that same timeline at the higher level. I think by going to college, that opened the door for Reid to catch him, unless Belichick becomes Saban at North Carolina. If Belichick becomes Saban at Carolina, which I don't think so, based on your facial expression, I'm betting you don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, Saban's
it's a high bar.
Yes, I mean, that's the highest bar maybe we've ever seen before. Could Bill Belichick turn North Carolina into Indiana? Like, to me, that's really the question of this thing. Because I think we can identify, now that we have seen the playoff play itself out one time, there's going to be 4 or 5 teams with some really strong resumes, and then there's going to be 4 or 5 teams that were like, okay. That's what Indiana is, right? Indiana didn't beat anybody this year. You could also argue Texas is in that exact same boat. A lot of teams that don't really have a lot of good wins. And we also just saw with the ACC, you don't have to win the ACC to make the college football tournament. 2 teams from the ACC made it. That's more teams in the Big 12 that made it this year, and only 1 less team that made it from the SEC this year. Could Bill Belichick get North Carolina to a place where they are 11-1, 10-2, they make it to the ACC championship game, and you got a shot? Could there be 1 year where he gets the talent to the right level, and they also get the schedule at the right level where they intersect in the right year and Belichick can get that thing rolling? With the transfer portal, you don't have to recruit it the traditional way. Usually when you're a bad program and you're in college, you're trying to hit the in-house recruiting and doing all those things. I'm Bill Belichick. We're going to go hit the transfer portal really, really hard. We now have more NIL money than ever before. The big rumor in college football is that he really pushed to get it to $20 million, which if you get your NIL to $20 million, that puts you, we believe, in the top 15 of teams in generating revenue. That gives you an opportunity to compete. Could Bill Belichick turn them into Ole Miss? To me, that's a realistic goal to try to shoot for the next 3 to 4 years. Could North Carolina be Ole Miss? I think Bill Belichick's going to give them a shot to do this. I find this to be one of the more interesting case studies that we have ever had in college athletics. You are not taking a good NFL coach. You are maybe taking the best NFL coach that we have ever seen, and you are putting him at a tier 3 college football program. What can he turn them into is a fascinating case study to me. Coming up on the other side, we're going to continue our trip around the league. There are a handful of teams that play a similar schedule to Kansas City, where they play on the 15th, 21st, and 25th. We're going to continue that journey next. Keep it right here, so Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Make your first NBA bet a swish with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. FanDuel has all of your favorite bets, from who will win the game to how many points a player will score. Plus, check out some of the newer bets, like how many dunks, assists, or three-pointers will happen in the next 3 minutes of a game. It doesn't matter if you tap into FanDuel before the game or after the game is already tipped off. You can pick up a W whenever. And now is the perfect time to get in on the action, because right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/KFNZ. Use my promo code for your chance to score $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
I knew there had to be a better way to get relief from joint pain aside from surgery and harmful medications.
That's football legend and dancing champ Emmitt Smith, who knows a thing or two about joint pain.
Turns out I was right. It's called QC Kinetics, and now tens of thousands of patients and counting all across the country, they're feeling amazing. They say, hey, Emmitt, you were right.
QC Kinetics zeroed in on a technology that is revolutionizing pain treatment. They are transforming patients' lives. The largest provider of non-surgical regenerative treatments using natural healing properties to help restore and repair aching knees, hips, shoulders, and backs. Call them today for your free consultation.
QC Kinetics. I knew there had to be a better way. I love it when I'm right.
QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
Many of us are looking forward to retirement. But when it's time to tap into your savings, do you know how long your money will last? Make a game plan for your retirement income distribution from UMB Private Wealth. They'll create a custom strategy for you to help make your hard-earned retirement savings last. Just go to umb.com/private wealth to schedule your personal appointment. That's umb.com/private wealth.
Here's another great reason to use the United States Postal Service this season. When sending a package, why venture outside? Ship with USPS for a true holiday ride. Want to stay cozy and warm? There's no need to roam. With free package pickup and labels printed from home. We have over 600,000 employees always in motion. And before you know it, your gift has delivered emotion. Spread the holiday joy this season with USPS's enhanced network. Learn more at USPS.com/holidayride.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check your sunroof is closed first before driving through the car wash.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, no. Wait, whoa.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hey, sports fans, if you're not calling John Anthony, you're simply missing out. To prove it, I'm releasing your Thursday night report absolutely free on recorded message line 1-800-244-5506. Los Angeles at San Fran. With a talented group of receivers, LA can create big plays in a passing game, and San Francisco's ability to pressure the quarterback and disrupt offensive plays is unparalleled. Tonight's going to be a monster game. I've got the side and total. That's two big plays. John Anthony has you covered. Call now. Hear them for free on recorded message. 1-800-244-5506. 1-800-244-5506. You want the information? I've got it. San Francisco, LA, side and total. I love to go 2-0 the next 4 days on me. 1-800-244-5506. That's 1-800-244-5506. Or go to johnanthonysports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Traffic is brought to you by Park and Go. Your holiday travel made easy with all covered airport parking. Got some road work happening northbound lanes of 35. The exit to Mission Road's got the right lane closed. Other than that, though, no collisions to report across the Kansas City Metro. Heading out of town this holiday season, let Park and Go take the stress out of holiday travel with free online reservations, free shuttles, luggage assistance, and all covered parking. You'll be jingle bell ready. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com. Happiest of holidays from Park and Go. I'm Lori Pearson in the KMBZ Traffic Center.
Chiefs fans, it's Justin Reed. Welcome to The Drive with C-Dot on your home of Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
We're going to head to Pittsburgh momentarily, but I want to tell you, Missouri Tiger fans, William Nwaneri, former #1 overall recruit, he just transferred out of Missouri. He has made his announcement. He is going to the University of Nebraska. So the former Elite Summit North product, he is leaving Missouri, and he is going to join their former conference foe, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. You kind of felt like that was the direction whenever he made the announcement. I was pretty sure it was between two schools, between Oklahoma and Nebraska. And then earlier today, he put himself into the portal with a do not contact. If you do that, you would know exactly where you're going to go. Rob, it sounds like, and again, I want to get to the phone lines here really quickly. It sounds like the exact same way that Missouri got Caden Green, they just lost someone else that way. That is just the way the game goes in the transport portal. It certainly giveth and taketh. Let's go to the phone lines right now to be joined by Paul Zeiss. He covers the Pittsburgh Steelers for 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. Paul, happy to have you join us today. Thanks a bunch.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. Let's just start with this. How real is this Pittsburgh team? Because coming into the season, I was very, very skeptical. But you know what? Over the course of the season, I really changed my opinion on this Steelers team. How good is Pittsburgh?
Well, I'll say this. I think that, I think I wrote a column maybe last week in the Post-Gazette about it. I actually think really good. I'm convinced that Russell Wilson has really changed the team in a lot of ways, and I know you guys are very familiar with him from the last 2 years in Denver. Everything that we heard about Russell Wilson when he was, signed by the Steelers was almost like, he was done. He didn't have much left in the tank. We also heard all the stuff about how he wasn't a good teammate. He was sort of aloof. How, these things were he was just not going to be somebody that worked out. So there was a little bit of skepticism when he came. And then, of course, he had that calf injury, and he was out for like 6 weeks to start the season or whatever it was. That certainly didn't help. But I'll tell you, watching him play, he looks every bit like the guy that was in Seattle. And he looks every bit like the guy who's motivated to show that what happened in Denver was a fluke and, all that other stuff. He's fit in well. His teammates rave about him. So in the locker room. So to me, if you watch this Steelers team, this is the first time I can remember since before Ben Roethlisberger's shoulder surgery. So I want to say that was maybe 2019 when he missed, pretty much the whole season with a shoulder surgery. this is the first time since before then that the Steelers have a legitimate passing game that's a threat, that actually, they might be able to go match score for score against the teams like Kansas City and the teams like the Bills and, some of these teams that have these higher powered offenses. For the Steelers to beat those teams in the last 4 or 5 years, they had to be incredibly, good on defense. They had to almost have everything go right for them. They had zero margin for error. I can tell you this offense now, they're playing modern football, which is something I'm not sure I was going to think I was going to say anytime soon, given what they had done at the quarterback position the last few years. So, the defense is good. The offensive line, they've rebuilt it, and they've got some really young players on the offensive line that have come along really well. You know what? They haven't won a playoff game in 7 years. This is the first time that going into the playoffs, I think they're actually equipped to win some games.
Right now, we're talking to Paul Zeiss, who covers the Pittsburgh Steelers. Paul, this might be the hardest stretch that any team in the National Football League has had this season. You're talking about over 11 days. You go on the road and play Philadelphia, on the road and play Baltimore, and then you play Kansas City. How prepared do you think Pittsburgh is to navigate that stretch?
Well, I think it's going to be real interesting to do because George Pickens, who's, their best receiver and obviously has become one of the best receivers in football, he's out, and he's probably out for the Ravens game too. So that doesn't help matters. If you look at the Ravens games, though, I think the Steelers are. I think they're either 8-1 or 8-1 in their last 9 or 9-1 in their last 10 against the Ravens. They've had their number. So I think they're prepared for that. The Eagles game is a different animal altogether. I think it's going to be a tough game for the Steelers without George Pickens. The other part of it is it's one of those weird matchup things where the Steelers haven't won in Philadelphia since 1965. So, I would say that, if you ask me, the Chiefs game is probably the wild card of the 3 games because by then the Chiefs could have clinched everything, and maybe it won't be quite as bad for the Steelers, depending on what happens. But clearly we're going to find out over the next 11 days or 12 days or whatever it is. We're going to find out whether or not the Steelers are legitimately a contender for the Super Bowl or, if they're just a kind of a good team that's going to fit in the middle of the AFC pack.
I was just going to ask you because I know in Kansas City, the conversation is already shifted towards the 1 seed, right? The Chiefs are 12-1. They've won their division. There's only a month of games left. Chiefs fans are hoping that Buffalo loses this weekend, that game against Pittsburgh. They already kind of have things wrapped up. Are you guys still having 1 seed conversations in Pittsburgh, given the schedule that you have? This is a really difficult stretch to assume that you're going to win all 3 of these games.
No, I think the 1 seed is a pipe dream. They would need a lot of help, and I think people realize that. And frankly, if you're not the 1 seed, whether you're the 2 or the 3 is really not all that significantly different. As it is right now, I think they would play the Chargers in the first round. They've already beaten the Chargers. I think they match up well with the Chargers. And then from there you go to wherever you go the next week, depending on what happens. But I think that the 1 seed. A couple of weeks ago, they were still talking about it before they lost that game to the Browns. But once they lost to the Browns, you looked at the schedule and you said they probably have at least 1, if not 2 more losses in them. And it's very unlikely that Kansas City is going to lose 3 or 4 more games in order to make that happen. So I don't know that, most people here have even thought about the 1 seed in a long, long time.
Right now, we're talking to Paul Zeiss for a couple more minutes here. I do want to get your thoughts on this. This has something to do with Pittsburgh, but not really. What is it like to see the whole Deontay Johnson experiment going so poorly for another team in the division?
Well, again, it's kind of interesting. When he was with the Steelers, he was never happy. But he's another guy like Le'Veon Bell. And to a lesser extent, Antonio Brown. I know he won a Super Bowl in Tampa, but for the most part, they were never happy in Pittsburgh. And guess what? Their career in Pittsburgh was essentially was incredibly much better than anywhere else they went. It's not a surprise that Deontay Johnson isn't really doing very well in Baltimore because his biggest issue has always been he wants to be the star, and he's just not a star kind of guy. He's a really good complementary number 2 receiver if you have the right number 1. But his attitude can go real south real quick if things don't go his way. So it doesn't really shock me that things haven't gone well for him, because in general, one of the things the Steelers, and I bet you the Chiefs, I don't follow them close enough to really know all the intricacies of their personnel, year in and year out. But the Chiefs are a really good organization. Andy Reid is a really good coach, just like Mike Tomlin. They do things in an organized way. There's a culture of winning, or whatever you want to say. And guess what? Usually they make the right decision on disgruntled guys in terms of letting them go, trading them, getting rid of them, whatever. Because, the bottom line is you're probably going to have it better here, just like you're going to have it better in Kansas City and, a couple of the other places that are run the right way than anywhere else.
That is Paul Zeiss joining us on the show today. He is with 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh, getting you ready for this stretch. There are a handful of teams that play on the 15th, 21st, and 25th. We are going to cover all of those teams today on the show. Paul, great stuff, man. Happy holidays. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. That is Paul Zeiss joining us on the show today. He covers the Steelers. Rob, let's keep the 1-seed conversation going up at the top of the hour. There are really 3 teams in the AFC in contention for the 1 seed. Kansas City, obviously, they hold the keys to this thing. Also, Pittsburgh and Buffalo. We'll talk about those 3 teams next. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for K-State Athletics. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Traffic is brought to you by Park and Go. Your holiday travel made easy with all covered airport parking. Got some road work happening northbound lanes of 35. The exit to Mission Road's got the right lane closed. Other than that, though, no collisions to report across the Kansas City Metro. Heading out of town this holiday season? Let Park and Go take the stress out of holiday travel with free online reservations, free shuttles, luggage assistance, and all covered parking. You'll be jingle bell ready. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com. Happiest of holidays from Park and Go. I'm Lori Pearson in the KMBZ Traffic Center.
'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring except the 2024 Subaru Share the Love event. Subaru will donate $250 to a charity of your choice to help those in need this holiday. These charities include the ASPCA, Make-A-Wish Foundation, Meals on Wheels, and the National Park Foundation. And locally, you can choose the Hillcrest Transitional Housing. Have some fun this holiday and fall in love with driving again at Lee Summit Subaru.
Escape to your new coastal seafood paradise. Introducing Aqua Pennies, where the freshest seafood, a full-service raw bar, prime steaks and chops, exquisite handcrafted cocktails, and a one-of-a-kind atmosphere come together in perfect harmony. Aqua Pennies is now open in Park Place, Leawood. Don't miss out. Experience something truly different. Tantalize your taste buds and elevate your evening out. To learn more, go to aquapennies.com.
Coast into Aqua Pennies, now open for lunch.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here with the Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Please gamble responsibly. Coming up Week 15 Pro Football Sunday, Arizona hosting New England. Arizona, a 6-point home favorite. Total in the game is 46. Arizona, 3 straight losses. New England coming off the bye. Lean towards New England at the point spread of 6. I like New England's young rookie quarterback being able to score points in this game, keep it close. And that takes me to what I really like in this game, which is to go over the total, over 46. Arizona's offense is struggle, but I expect Arizona's quarterback to have success against the New England defense. And again, love New England's rookie quarterback. So let's go over 46 on Sunday. New England at Arizona. That's it for this Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the BetMGM app today. Please gamble responsibly.
BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kansas only. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Have you or a loved one been diagnosed with cancer? You want the most knowledgeable physicians with the latest technology. That's KCPI. The Kansas City Proton Institute. KCPI has a full suite of the most advanced imaging and treatment technology necessary to localize high-intensity proton beams. That's a critical part of maximizing cure rates while minimizing recovery time and long-term side effects. Proton therapy provides patients with the most advanced form of radiation treatments for cancer. It destroys cancer cells with supreme accuracy, reducing the risk of harmful side effects. KCPI has Kansas City's first and only system that uses pencil beam technology, resulting in precision targeting and less radiation to your surrounding healthy tissue. Proton therapy is now available in the comfort of an office at KCPI, making it more efficient and affordable than a hospital. So contact KCPI for the most knowledgeable physicians with the latest technology. Don't wait. Get precision technology with the highest safety measures with KCPI. Online at kcpi.com.
It's Thirsty Thursday at Hy-Vee. Time to stock up the bar and fill up your tank. Earn 50 cents per gallon fuel savings on every $50 purchase of wine, beer, hard seltzer, and spirits. Mix and match all your favorite libations and get a 50-cent fuel saver with every $50 purchase. Stack up the savings and your next fill-up could be free. Don't miss Thirsty Thursday at your Kansas City, Missouri Hy-Vee. Product or promotion differs by location. Offers valid where legal, available while supplies last.
I can't wait to watch the Chiefs go up and down the field and score a ton of points this year. And now I have even more reason to cheer on the Chiefs. I just head to Hy-Vee the day after any game and score savings at the pump with my Hy-Vee Perks card. Win or lose, I earn fuel saver discounts equal to the Chiefs score based on the amount I spend. If the Chiefs score 42 points, I save 42 cents a gallon when I spend $42. The more we score, the more I save, only at Hy-Vee. Offer good in-store and online. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Welcome to TGL presented by SoFi. Golf's newest league, live on ESPN and ESPN Plus. It's 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime forcing, playoffs on the line golf. Tiger, Rory, and more of the best from the PGA Tour split into 6 teams. Learn more at TGLGolf.com and tune into the inaugural season beginning January 7th. Keep up. It's golf.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare and you want out, you need to get the facts. Wesley Financial Group and its founder, Chuck McDowell, have helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshares permanently, and he may be able to help you too. Call right now. Chuck will send you a timeshare exit information guide free explaining how your timeshare works and all your options for cancellation. You want to call Wesley Financial Group, 800-761-0000. That's 800-761-0000. Once again, 800-761-0000.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Arvest Bank, believing in the power of serving others.
Arvest Bank believes in the power of serving others. That's why we're committed to supporting those who serve our communities. We believe that all communities deserve a financial partner who cares. Arvest. We believe.
You're listening to the all-new 96.5 The Fan, your new home for Chiefs football. KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
All right, let's talk about the 1 seed conversation right now in the AFC. Because there's this gentleman that has texted in every day this week. Mad, frustrated. He's a Steelers fan, and he says, Carrington, why do you keep leaving Pittsburgh out of the 1 seed conversation? They're right there, and they play Kansas City. Now, you're right. But I think there are a couple important things to note. The Chiefs have not lost back-to-back games, or they have one time in the last 3 seasons. So the Chiefs don't really go on a lot of slides. There are not a lot of games left in the season. And I also think that it's important to note that Kansas City's schedule, certainly in relation to Pittsburgh's schedule, is much easier. And we're talking about a team that plays 3 consecutive playoff teams in Kansas City. So does Pittsburgh. Listen to Pittsburgh's schedule between now and the end of the season. On the road against Philadelphia, on the road against Baltimore, home against Kansas City, home against Cincinnati. And I know that Cincinnati is not a good team. Not sure if they're going to be in the wild card picture or not. Even so, Cincinnati is not laying down in the final week of the season for Pittsburgh. They would love to spoil whatever it is Pittsburgh got cooking and trying to play spoiler for them as they head into their offseason. I don't know if you did a legit NFL randomizer. I don't know if you could come up with a harder schedule than what Pittsburgh has down the stretch. And if Kansas City already has a 2-game lead on Pittsburgh, and we'll get to Buffalo's schedule here in just a bit, you see Pittsburgh going undefeated in that stretch. So we think at a minimum, Pittsburgh picks up at least one more loss, and they end the season at 13-4. You can't show me where you think Kansas City has 3 losses coming up in these next 4 games. To me, Pittsburgh is out of the 1-seed conversation. You're going to need to go undefeated. You're also obviously going to need some help along the way as well. I don't think you're going to get the help necessary to get the 1 seed. I also don't think with that stretch you were going undefeated. I don't think any team will go undefeated. I don't think Kansas City would go undefeated in that stretch. If you swapped out Kansas City, because obviously they couldn't play themselves, and their stretch was on the road against Philadelphia, on the road against Baltimore, and home against the Lions, I think the Chiefs are losing one of those games. It's not realistic to think you are winning all 3 of them in 3 straight weeks. So that eliminates them. Rob, let's talk about the Buffalo Bills as a possibility for the 1 seed because they have the tiebreaker over Kansas City, and we'll see if Pittsburgh gets the tiebreaker over the Chiefs in a couple of weeks. These are the Bills' remaining 4 games on the road against the Lions, and then they play the dregs of the league. They play both of their games against New England because they're in the same division. They also play the Jets. Very odd that you play a team in your division for the first time in Week 16. Not really sure how the schedule broke out that way. I don't really see a scenario in which Buffalo wins the 1 seed if they don't win on Sunday. So much of this conversation really comes down to, does Buffalo go on the road and beat the Lions? If they don't and they get to 4 losses, Kansas City is still at 1. I imagine they're going to beat Cleveland. There's just not enough time to me to think that both Buffalo and Pittsburgh are going to make up all of that ground. This 1 seed conversation could really be over on Sunday. In theory, it could be over by the time 60 Minutes comes on. Now, the Chiefs will not have clinched the 1 seed on Sunday, but again, 3 games lead with 3 games to go. The Chiefs just basically don't have to lose the last 3 games in order to lock up everything, and you obviously feel very confident they're not going to do that. This is a very anticlimactic 1 seed that could be done, again, by the time that 60 Minutes and The Simpsons come on this weekend. We could already know who the 1 seed is going to be, and then the conversation is who's going to grab the 2 seed, who's going to grab the 3 seed, and Baltimore still has a chance to pass Pittsburgh, and they could end up being a team that gets a home playoff game and wins their division as opposed to being the 5 seed and going on the road.
The Bills and the Steelers are really good teams, and in any other year would be in a race for the 1 seed still. But you just laid it out. The math of it is not on their side. The Steelers have to be quite literally perfect. Like, they have to basically go undefeated down the stretch, and that is with the stretch they have, 3 games in 11 days, I don't think that is realistic. It includes a game against a division rival Ravens team that I know they've dominated them of late, but that is a division rival game. Who knows what's going to happen? And a game against the team you are chasing in that stretch. Like, I do not believe the Steelers in the 1 seed conversation because I do not believe they can be perfect from here to the end of the season, which leaves the Chiefs and Bills. The math doesn't favor the Bills either. I think the Bills could be perfect down the stretch. I don't think it's impossible to believe, but I also could see them losing to Detroit, who's a fantastic team on Sunday. Or I could see the Bills saying, hey, it seems impossible to catch the Chiefs for the 1 seed. We're not going to play our guys against the Patriots in Week 18 because we saw last year a little rest, even if it's not the true bye, is more valuable to us than pushing to try to catch the bye. I think it's like I'm not the ESPN analytics department. I know they have it like 77% for the Chiefs to get the 1 seed right now. I would have it at a much higher tick. I feel like it's like an 85 to 90% chance that we are talking about the Chiefs being the 1 seed in the AFC playoff. Just the math widely favors Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and this is how they have it. So I have it pulled up right now. They have the Chiefs at a 78% chance of being the 1 seed. Buffalo is at a 16% chance of being the 1 seed, and Pittsburgh is at a 5% chance. So when you factor in the schedule for Pittsburgh, again, not very realistic to think that they're going to win out this season. And they also need help, obviously, from Kansas City and Buffalo. I mean, it really comes down to Kansas City is finish your race. Now, they have run an incredible race. They have played 13 games this year, and they have won 12 of them. Finish your race. This is a difficult stretch. This stretch has a couple of pitfalls. This stretch, you play some good teams. Cleveland is a dangerous team, in my opinion. I do not care what their record is. Cleveland, to me, has the ingredients to give Kansas City a little bit of problem. Houston is going to make the playoffs. Also, Pittsburgh is going to make the playoffs. Finish your race. As long as the Chiefs do that, they should be fine. Buffalo got themselves in trouble because they didn't finish their race. This conversation was over with Buffalo when they lost to the Rams. You could not lose that game to the Rams. The Rams are a good team, could possibly make the playoffs. You could not continue to lose ground to Kansas City. You were already facing an uphill battle anyway. Now, in order for Buffalo to get the 1 seed, they need the Chiefs to lose 2 of their next 4 games. I just don't think that that's very realistic given the history of the Kansas City Chiefs. I just don't see them going 2-2 down the stretch heading into the postseason, because if they needed to play the last game against the Broncos, they would go out and play the last game against the Broncos. I just think that Buffalo put themselves dangerously behind the 8 ball whenever they lost that game. I want to play something Bill Belichick had to say earlier today. The top story right now in sports is that Bill Belichick was introduced today as the head coach for the North Carolina Tar Heels. Here's Bill Belichick.
And so it's great to come back home to Carolina and back in an environment that I really grew up in. When you're little, you don't remember everything. Obviously, I was too young to remember a lot of things from Carolina. But as I grew up, you hear the same story over and over and over and over again. And so one story I always heard was Billy's first words were, beat Duke.
I want to read a little bit of the story today on ESPN.com, and I would highly encourage you to read it if you just want to learn more about this. So there's a story in ESPN.com with Seth Wickersham where basically he is keeping up with his former assistants, and they do a Zoom every week to just catch up with everybody, talk football, right? In this story from Seth Wickersham, it says, according to sources with direct knowledge, the group, so the Belichick team, the team that we know, I think we know who the offensive coordinator is going to be for North Carolina. We know who the defensive coordinator is going to be. Belichick is bringing his guys. According to sources, Belichick and his team wanted the Chicago Bears job, but they don't think the Bears are interested. They got the feeling that the Bears want to go offense because of Caleb Williams. They also don't have any interest in the New York Jets. You guys know Belichick's history with the Jets. They do not have any interest in going there. It also goes on to say that Belichick was really dismayed about the process last year when Belichick was available. Only 2 teams wanted to interview him. Tennessee interviewed him, and also Atlanta. Atlanta hired Raheem Morris over him, another defensive-minded head coach. I think the NFL sent a very clear message to Bill Belichick that you are not welcome here anymore. Now, we'll see if Bill Belichick can kind of rehabilitate his image. You go down, you have some success, but then you're adding more years onto it. Bill Belichick is going to be 74 years old in a couple of years. Are you getting another NFL job when, if we're being real, the only reason that Bill Belichick wants to coach in the NFL is to get the record? He is 15 games off of having more wins than anybody else. I think the league is telling you right now that you are not getting this record. He's not getting it anymore. It's over. It is done. It is done with Bill Belichick and the National Football League. Coming up on the other side, we're going to head to Baltimore, Maryland to finish up our journey. We have visited every team that plays the same stretch as the Chiefs. They play on the 15th, 21st, and the 25th. Baltimore is the last team. We'll head there next. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
This man was a bona fide scrub.
On 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Men, it's the holidays, the season of all kinds of hustle and bustle. But if your energy is down, if you aren't sleeping well, if your sex drive is MIA and you just don't feel like the guy you once were, maybe it's tough to get excited for all the holiday cheer. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health, and if this sounds like you may have low testosterone. And if so, this is the season for you to get treated. At Heartland Men's Health, we're experts in treating low T. If you're like most guys, you'll feel the change in just a few weeks. And truly, the results can be life-changing. You'll have improved mental clarity, your energy will kick up, your workouts will be better, your sleep patterns will improve, and your sex drive will likely heat up as well. So call us and don't go through another season with low T. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. That's heartlandmenshealth.com. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
Welcome to TGL presented by SoFi. Golf's newest league, live on ESPN and ESPN Plus. It's 2 hours of hammer dropping, overtime forcing, playoffs on the line golf. Tiger, Rory, and more of the best from the PGA Tour split into 6 teams. Learn more at TGLGolf.com and tune into the inaugural season beginning January 7th. Keep up, it's golf.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare and you want out, you need to get the facts. Wesley Financial Group and its founder, Chuck McDowell, have helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshares permanently, and he may be able to help you too. Call right now. Chuck will send you a timeshare exit information guide free explaining how your timeshare works and all your options for cancellation. You want to call Wesley Financial Group, 800-761-0000. That's 800-761-0000. Once again, 800-761-0000.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Lovebirds, you're in for a treat. With your holiday proposal just around the corner, Shane Company is here to help you create your dream engagement ring. This is your moment. Let's make it magical. Through 4 generations as a family business, we've helped tons of couples find a beautiful engagement ring for a price that works with their budget. We've always sourced diamonds directly, cut out the middleman, and passed the savings on to you. At Shane Company, we have the widest selection of ring settings and center stones, in stock and ready to compare side by side. It's so easy. Choose a look that brings your vision to life. From classic styles to modern designs, we have them all. Then pick out a natural or lab-grown diamond, a sapphire in your favorite color, or a vibrant gemstone like ruby or amethyst. With our everyday competitive prices and free lifetime warranty, your forever after is safe with us. Visit shaneco.com and come see us in store. We've got your dream ring and fine jewelry gifts for everyone on your list. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
What's up, Kansas City? It's Mitchell Schwartz. You know, there's nothing easier to enjoy than watching the Chiefs with some wings and an ice-cold Bud Light. And Buffalo Wild Wings is serving up both for every game, all season long. Join me at the Buffalo Wild Wings located off 105th and Metcalf in Overland Park on Friday, December 13th. I'll be there with the crew from 6 to 8 p.m. celebrating the back-to-back Super Bowl champs while eating some wings and drinking $5 Bud Lights. Nothing easier to enjoy than that. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. For more details, go to 965thefan.com. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Staples has amazing deals on everything you need for the holidays. From custom holiday cards and photo gifts to laptops and gaming systems, even shipping solutions. And right now at Staples, save up to $350 on select computers. In-store only offer ends 12/28. Unwrap huge holiday savings at Staples.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Traffic is brought to you by Metro Ford online at kcmetroford.com. Two-car crash, North Kansas City, northbound lanes of 435, right before Front Street. This is closing the right lane, traffic heavy around that, behind it, and also stacking up southern lanes of the downtown loop and into downtown northbound 35. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Chiefs fans, it's Hollywood Brown. Welcome to The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan.
Welcome back into The Drive on 96.5 The Fan. Very happy to be here with you on this wonderful, wonderful Thursday. All right, let's head to the phone lines right now. Let's wrap up our journey. We have been going around the National Football League, catching up with various hosts from around the country. There are a lot of teams that are playing the same schedule that the Chiefs have. The Chiefs play on the 15th, 21st, and the 25th. They play 3 games over an 11-day span. I wanted to get a sense from around the country how other fan bases are feeling about this. Let's head to Baltimore to catch up with Tim Barbalace. He does the Ravens pre- and post-game to get his thoughts. Tim, always appreciate your time. What's the feeling in Baltimore around this difficult stretch?
Yeah, it was kind of funny when John Harbaugh was asked about the late bye, and he said, look, man, you take it when you take it. But you are right. It comes at a critical time. Now, a Week 14 bye, I feel like buys that late are kind of ridiculous after Thanksgiving, but it does happen at a good time for this football team because they needed one. And you kind of saw that, especially in the second half against the Eagles. And this is the critical stretch. Ravens have an opportunity to still win the division. They're going to need some help, but they got to win out. And they have a get-right game this week against the Giants, but all eyes are really focused on Pittsburgh next week when they come to Baltimore, where they've just had the Ravens number, man. I mean, they've won 8 of 9 against the Ravens. All 9 of those games have been decided by one score, but it's the Steelers making the game-winning plays late or the Ravens faltering.
This Ravens team won 5 games in a row. They currently have lost 3 of their last 6, so they're 3-3 the last month and a half. What kind of shifted from the Ravens where they were as good as any team in the league to them playing 500 ball the last 6 weeks?
Well, I think that offense was unbelievable in that 5-game stretch. I mean, Derrick Henry was doing absurd things. He was on pace to break Eric Dickerson's rushing record at that time. Lamar Jackson's playing out of his mind. But it's kind of been a flip here. And you can look at all 5 of the Ravens' losses where special teams, have been a major issue. And, of course, Justin Tucker gets all of the headlines, but the Ravens are getting nothing in the return game. Jordan Stout, their punter's been inconsistent. The Ravens' interior of their offensive line has been a massive issue. You guys saw Chris Jones at Arrowhead just absolutely eviscerate that group in Week 1, but we've seen them really struggle. Eagles and Steelers and Browns in those 3 losses recently have done the same. And the offense hasn't been as good. I mean, 2 out of the past 3 games, they've been held to under 20 points. Now, one positive development in this stretch is this defense is starting to figure things out because they were horrible for much of the year outside of that Bills game, but the defense has outperformed the offense in the last 3 weeks. They went into that stretch having the worst pass defense in football, and then the last 3 weeks, they're the best pass defense in football. So I think the fact that the defense is figuring things out does give reasons for optimism for this team moving forward.
Right now, we're talking to Tim Barbalace for a couple more minutes, catching up with the Baltimore Ravens. There are a handful of teams in the league that play on the 15th, 21st, and the 25th. The Ravens are one of those teams, so I want to get their thoughts as they head into this very important finishing stretch in the NFL regular season. Let's talk about Deontay Johnson. You and I talked about this trade when it happened a month or so ago. The Ravens didn't really spend a whole lot to acquire him, but he hasn't really been on the field, and then he was suspended because he didn't want to go in the Eagles game. What's going on with Deontay Johnson?
It's a mess. It's a mess. And we talked a lot heading into the trade deadline that depth at wide receiver would be good. And Deontay Johnson, they know him very well from his time with the Steelers. But look at it, man. I mean, he's on his 3rd team in a calendar month. You know, he was kind of a loudmouth with the Steelers, the Panthers. He was their leading receiver, and they gave him away for nothing. And they made another trade with one of their receivers to Dallas and got more for him. Deontay Johnson, I can tell you, just from being in the locker room, and it was coincidentally enough after that Cincinnati game that I was referring to earlier where the Ravens won, Deontay Johnson was beside himself. I mean, Lamar Jackson had to go over to kind of console him, calm him down. John Harbaugh had to go over to console him, calm him down, because he wasn't that involved in the offense is what we can presume. And there's been a couple of those instances, and we've seen the play time kind of diminish. And look, with him, he's kind of feeling the heat because he's in a contract year. So, I mean, he's kind of tanking his value right now, and I wonder if we see him suit up as a Raven again.
Last thing here, Tim, and I appreciate your time. It feels like Kansas City, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh have separated themselves as the three best teams in the AFC. Do you still put Baltimore in that conversation, even though whether it's Baltimore or Pittsburgh, one of those teams is going to have to be the 5 seed and represent the AFC as a wild card team? Do you still consider Baltimore as a legitimate threat to go win the Super Bowl?
I hate to kind of both sides this, Carrington, but with this group, it wouldn't surprise me if they go one and done. It wouldn't surprise me if they go on a run. So why they could go one and done? Look, we talk ad nauseum about Lamar Jackson's struggles in the playoffs. We talk ad nauseum about Lamar Jackson's struggles against the Chiefs, against the Steelers. And Justin Tucker, he's been missing field goals left and right with the special teams. Derrick Henry, his pace has slowed down. There's some issues here. But if I am laying out reasons why this team can go on a run, is I'm confident in the offense figuring things out. They're a lot better than they've been over the past 3 weeks. Lamar's still having a fantastic season. The ground game is still a serious threat. The defense they're not going to have to put up 35 points to win games with this defense playing how they're playing. And quite frankly, I think they match up extremely well against Buffalo, and we saw the Bills come to M&T in September and get absolutely demolished because that's a light defensive front. I think that could be a big Derrick Henry game, and quite frankly, I'd feel pretty confident if the Ravens were going to Buffalo for a playoff game. But look, Steelers have their number. Chiefs have their number. Lamar struggles in January. It's tough. They're going to have to exercise some demons if they're going to make some noise in January.
That is our guy, Tim Barbalace, joining us on the show. He does the Ravens pre- and post-game. He is with 105.7 The Fan. Tim, man, happy holidays to you and yours, man. Happy to have you join us today.
You too, man. Happy holidays to you and yours, too.
That is my guy, Tim Barbalace, joining us on the show. Did you guys hear what he said there at the end? The Ravens don't match up well against the Steelers. The Ravens don't match up well against the Chiefs. Both of those teams have the Ravens number, and also their quarterback struggles in January. That don't sound like a team that's winning the Super Bowl. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm off. Maybe Baltimore is a surprise team in January. It has been, 15 years since we've been able to say that? Maybe not that long. You guys remember the Joe Flacco Super Bowl? Certainly was a surprising one. If the Steelers have your number, the Chiefs have your number, and you don't trust your quarterback going into the final month of the season, it's kind of hard to put you in that conversation with those other groups. It's hard to put you in the Philadelphia conversation, hard to put you in the Detroit, the Kansas City, Buffalo. I know you played Buffalo really tough the first time. You blew Buffalo out. You're not going to have that game at home. You're going to have to go on the road. Do you trust Lamar Jackson to go on the road to Buffalo and play well and leave with the win? I got my questions about it. Baltimore is reaching that. They're going to have to show us. Now, the Bills are in the same category. I'm not saying that Buffalo has done a whole lot in the postseason, but I don't expect Josh Allen to play poorly in postseason games. You do when it comes to Lamar. So we obviously have some time to figure that out. The AFC is going to be very clear in the next day or so, next 2 days or so. It's going to be very, very clear. By the time we wrap up this week, by the time we're done, we will know who won between Buffalo and Detroit. Pittsburgh, they play Philadelphia. this thing could be wrapped up. Certainly for the 1 seed, we'll figure out some seeding questions. And we also have the game this weekend between Denver and Indianapolis that is also going to give us a whole lot of clarity on kind of how things are going. So I think up to this point, this is by far and away the most important week in the National Football League. Rob, we can get to some of the storylines coming up in just a bit if you want, but in terms of the importance of these games and the right teams being matched up against one another, I don't know if you can have a much more important week than we currently have coming up in the league.
It's funny this week in the league because while the Chiefs are playing the Browns, basically none of the games have any importance. I know the Chiefs are playing and the Chiefs are the local team and all the things. I'm not discounting the Chiefs game, but that is a great time to just singularly watch the Chiefs game. Have some nachos, have some pizza, watch the Chiefs. The 325 slate is massively important for everyone. That's when you get Broncos Colts. That's when you get Bills Lions because, like we talked about earlier, a Bills loss could essentially lock in the Chiefs for the 1 seed. We get at night Packers Seahawks. That is still a huge battle out in the NFC West. That game is of massive importance, and that's always a fun game. Like, the noon slate is none of the things you're talking about. The 325 slate is of the utmost importance for the league.
So, Rob, let's do this. Why don't we get to the Sunday storylines? There's a handful of really important games around the National Football League. Let's get to them. Hit the music.
Carrington, let's start with the one I mentioned there and affects most Kansas City fans. It is Josh Allen and the Bills headed to Detroit to take on the Lions on long rest. Remember that one time Josh Allen played a home game in Detroit? What a weird time that was in the NFL.
It was.
Neither here nor there. Carrington, we talked about it earlier. The Lions are the best team in the NFC, and they are on 10 days rest. Are the Bills' hopes of a 1 seed dying in Detroit on Sunday?
Yeah, I think that you can say that Buffalo was potentially looking ahead. Buffalo won 7 games in a row. They then go on the road, and it was the defense that really let them down. They gave up 44 points. You're just not beating good teams if you're going to give up that many points. And you had a potential of grabbing the 1 seed. I think it's going to be really difficult to do so if that's the case. Now, you are going to get back refocused here, and if you are Buffalo, after this, you can coast a little bit till we get to the end. This is by far and away, in my opinion, the most intriguing game, and I know we'll get to the other games. We're talking about 2 teams that can win the Super Bowl, 2 legitimate Super Bowl champion caliber level teams. I think you have to go with the home team in the Detroit Lions. I like the balance that they have, and I give the Lions a lot of credit. They haven't let the injuries really deter them for anything. This is not a team that's super healthy either. They've had to deal with some things throughout the season, and all they've done is figure out a way to win. They have been the best regular season team in the National Football League. I expect that to continue. I expect them to win a close one, a tightly contested one, on Sunday against the Bills.
Speaking of a team chasing the 1 seed against one of the best teams in the NFC, also in the 325 window on Sunday, it is Steelers at Eagles. Carrington, we talked about it earlier with the Steelers. We had Paul Zeiss on the show earlier. He talked about the Steelers. Catch on the podcast page. Maybe it's just me and you and the rest of the NFL world is viewing them differently, but I have kind of discounted the Steelers as a Super Bowl contender, as a 1 seed threat despite their record. Is this the weekend on the road against one of the best teams in the NFC the Steelers can legitimize themselves as a threat in the AFC, or is it the start of the schedule game starting to come crashing down around Pittsburgh?
I feel that this week is more important for the Eagles than it is for Pittsburgh. The Eagles have had a lot of noise around them the last couple of days with the Brandon Graham, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts conversation. This is a real testament. Can they block out all of the noise and come together? This is something that could very easily disrupt their season and kind of bring everything down if you're Philadelphia. So I'm much more intrigued about the Eagles and how they're going to look in this game more than I am about Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a good team, but we've gone over their schedule. On the road against Philadelphia, on the road against Baltimore, home against Kansas City the next 3 weeks. It's not realistic to think that you are winning all of those games. I actually think the game that they are most likely to win is probably this one, given all the issues with the Philadelphia Eagles. Give me the Steelers to go on the road and win this week by a very distracted, disjointed Eagles group.
If they are able to beat a distracted, disjointed Eagles group, if 11 and 6 aren't on the same page, and the Bills lose, before we get to the third game, let's talk about that. Bills lose, Eagles lose, like you just laid out. Are the Steelers going to jump the Bills for the 2 seed? That's statistically very much at play, despite those 3 last games for the Bills. Do we have to start talking about the Steelers as the team that will be hosting multiple playoff games come January if it plays out the way you just laid out?
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I don't really know. I understand the difference in the 2 and the 3 seed. I don't really know if any team is worried about going to the other team's venue. It's going to be cold. It's going to be outside. It's going to be cold and it's going to be outside. So we'll figure the rest out once we get there.
The final big game, the 325 slate on Sunday, is Colts at Broncos. Now, if you look at any graphic, whether you go CBS, ESPN, Fox, whatever have you, NBC, they will put off the playoff picture. And in the hunt category are the Indianapolis Colts. Despite the fact they are currently sub 500, the Broncos are 8-5 and holding on tight to that final playoff spot. Is this the week we can finally officially end playoff conversations in the AFC? The Broncos beat the Colts and the in the hunt conversation is dead and gone.
Yeah, I believe so, especially because the Broncos are coming off a bye, and I just think the Broncos are just playing really, really good football right now. You know that I have been a fan of this Broncos team. They're a 3.5-point favorite in this game. I like the Broncos. I'm actually going to take them on the spread. I think the Broncos win this game 24-17. I have been a fan of this Broncos team from the very beginning. I think Bo Nix is trending towards being the NFL Rookie of the Year. Their run game is really starting to come around. I think their defense, I like this Broncos team. I'm going to pick them to beat the Indianapolis Colts. Let me give you a little bit of information, Rob, because I don't know if you've seen this or not. This just came down the board. Did you know? So Bill Belichick, his contract, how it is written, if he leaves the job before June 1 of next year, it is $10 million for the buyout. If he leaves after June 1 of next year, it is a $1 million buyout. That's a drastic difference. This basically only really locks Bill Belichick into one season of being the head coach for North Carolina, right? One season. If your buyout is $1 million after the 1 year of you being there, if an NFL team really wants you, you can go. That's nothing. $10 million, you got to navigate it a little bit different. $1 million, you don't really have to navigate it. The buyout, how it says to me is, Bill's in on North Carolina, but wants to leave the possibility of there being an NFL job being open, and the buyout at that point would be the biggest roadblock and hurdle that you would have to figure out. It's not at $1 million. So Bill Belichick signed a 3-year deal with North Carolina. It is I'm 100% going to do it for this first year, and then in years 2 and year 3, we'll see. Now, is a team going to turn around in Bill Belichick, and is the rebrand going to work where you were not a hot candidate 2 years ago? You obviously didn't think that you were going to get a job this year, or you wouldn't have taken the North Carolina job. And now, 3 years removed, a team's going to bring you back to coach in the National Football League? I've got my questions, especially given his age. If I had to guess, I do not think that Bill Belichick ever coaches again in the National Football League. I think he is going to do this for a couple of seasons. I think we all know that the plan is in place behind the scenes for his son to take over as the coach in waiting, and they're going to go from there. If anything, I could see North Carolina that you can't just maybe come out and say it for legal purposes, that you're basically just not going to have a hiring process for a state position. I could just see Bill Belichick leaving late in the year or late in the offseason where there's only one person that you can have do the job. It's his kid. You know how this works. We see this happen all the time. Jay Wright did this. Hey, I'm going to leave 10 days before the season starts. You guys can't start a coaching search there. You have to give it to this individual. That's how I think he probably leaves North Carolina.
I think those buyout numbers are interesting because I agree with you. It basically says after year 1, if I'm great at Carolina, the NFL has to make a really tough decision. $10 million is a lot. Like, let's say Carolina has, maybe Indiana's too egregious of an example. Let's say North Carolina has a Colorado football season this year. 9-3, good team. I don't think NFL teams are paying $10 million for Bill Belichick. He'll have to do it again. If he does it again, he's then going to be 74 years old. Is the NFL going to be willing to spend $1 million on a 74-year-old? I think the language in this contract makes it more likely than not that he is going to be at Carolina for at least 3, maybe 4 years, because no one is hiring a 74-year-old in the NFL. There's not. Unless some owner, it would have to be Jerry Jones. It's the only name I can think of that's willing to fork over $10 million for 73-year-old Bill Belichick. And June is not the hiring cycle, so it would be done before then.
Yeah, but to me, the whole June thing, because people are saying this on the text line, to me, what the June is, you can't leave right now. So
yeah, but you can't leave right now at this time. Like, I guess next year, right now, at this time would be, I guess that'd be post June 2025.
Yeah, no, I'm saying is, okay, if it starts June 1 of 2025, obviously he's not getting hired.
Correct.
So if you cannot leave during this coaching hire, you have to stay for this upcoming season because there's going to be no job. And then at the end of this year, when your buyout is only $1 million, you obviously can leave in November of 2025. You can live in December of 2025. All this does is lock him into the 2025 college football season. That's it. It does not lock you in for any other time. That's it. So we'll see what happens with Bill Belichick. But yeah, no, now knowing that the buyout, that's actually really interesting with Bill Belichick. And it goes to kind of what I've been saying this whole time is the league told you this year they were not interested in you. So you basically gave North Carolina the fail-safe. Hey, regardless of what happens, if San Francisco opens up, Dallas opens up, I will not leave this season. He can't really legally just based on the money. And then after this college football season, I am more than able to go to wherever I need to go. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll get back to the top stories of the day in Kansas City. There also was something pretty interesting that Tim Barbalay said about Deontay Johnson. We'll talk about it coming up on the other side and how I think it relates to the Chiefs. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Hey, it's Carrington from The Drive here, and I just found out that Daisy Sour Cream launched French onion and ranch sour cream dips. I love some dip. And these new dips from Daisy Sour Cream are an absolute game changer. They taste just as good as if they were homemade. They're made with Daisy Sour Cream, real herbs and spices. The new dips from Daisy Sour Cream are made with ingredients you can find in your kitchen, nothing more. Give these new French onion and ranch dips from Daisy a try. They go perfect with all your favorite chips, wings, veggies. Celebrate the holidays with Daisy Dips.
Show your Riz. Here's a career opportunity for you. Keller Fire and Safety is hiring fire protection professionals because they are on fire and they need your help, both inside the office and out in the field. Keller needs your experience, but if you don't have it, they'll get you there. Keller has been saving people and property since 1950. Get your career on fire. Look them up online and apply.
Keller Fire and Safety.
KellerFire.com. Hey, folks. I've got a couple of important questions for you. Do you know how much money you need to retire? Do you have a plan in place for your loved ones? If your answer is no, it's time to get your financial planning on track with UMB Private Wealth. It's never too late to start. Plus, their team supports you at every step of the planning process. Go to umb.com/privatewealth to schedule your appointment. That's umb.com/privatewealth. Why not start today?
I'm Mitch Holtis, voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Choosing the best doctor for your eyes is one of the most important medical decisions you'll ever make. Whether you're considering blade-free LASIK, all laser cataract surgery, and premium lens implants, or want a world-renowned doctor to help with your glaucoma, macular degeneration, dry eyes, or diabetes, trust my doctor, Dr. Steven Silverstein. Call Silverstein Eye Centers to make an appointment, 816-358-3600. Experience the best eye care in Kansas City.
What is GMTVCC? That's a mouthful, but translation for GMTVCC.com is Give Me the VIN Classic and Collector Cars. It's a brand new buying division of Give Me the VIN, but it's for classic and collector cars. Experienced pro buyers will appraise an offer on your 1970 Hemi Cuda or 1988 Fox Body Mustang or your granddad's old 1985 square body Chevy truck. GMTVCC.com is where you go to get real money for classic and collector cars to get paid now. That's GMTVCC.com, brought to you by Give Me the VIN.
Every piece of land has a story.
For the Nelsons, it's cruising around their Montana ranch on a John Deere Gator XUV 835R. With 3,000 acres, there's plenty of work to do.
We're not afraid to jump in and help each other out.
That's how they've kept their ranch going for 5 generations.
It's all about efficiency.
Like teaching visitors to fly fish.
The whole joy with fly fishing is matching the hatch.
Run with us on a Gator XUV 835R and start telling your story. Learn more at johndeere.com/radio.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating with the Banana Bonanza smoothie.
Hey, and you can keep celebrating when you create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Go bananas.
I will. Hey, make it a large.
Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Hey, sports fans, if you're not calling John Anthony, you're simply missing out. To prove it, I'm releasing your Thursday night report absolutely free on recorded message line 1-800-244-5506. Los Angeles at San Fran. With a talented group of receivers, LA can create big plays in a passing game, and San Francisco's ability to pressure the quarterback and disrupt offensive plays is unparalleled. Tonight's going to be a monster game. I've got the side and total. That's 2 big plays. John Anthony has you covered. Call now. Hear them for free on recorded message. 1-800-244-5506. 1-800-244-5506. You want the information? I've got it. San Francisco, LA, side and total. I love to go 2-0 the next 4 days on me. 1-800-244-5506. That's 1-800-244-5506. Or go to johnanthonysports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group. Brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
What's up, Kansas City? It's Mitchell Schwartz. Join me at the Buffalo Wild Wings located off 105th and Metcalf in Overland Park on Friday, December 13th. I'll be there with the crew from 6 to 8 p.m. eating some wings and drinking $5 Bud Lights. For more details, go to 965thefan.com.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Had a crash on the left lane of westbound 435, right past 103rd Street. Seeing traffic heavy almost all the way back to 69 Highway. Also in North Kansas City, 2-car crash northbound 435, right before Front Street. That is in the right lane. And traffic heavy into downtown on northbound 35. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5, The Fan Traffic.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 96.5 The Fan.
Let me read this tweet to you guys quickly, and I'll get to what we were going to talk about. So, an NFL writer, Shireen Williams, she's covered the league for a very long time, covering the Dallas Cowboys. She tweeted this out, Rob. Do people not realize that the NFL has forced teams to play 3 games in 11 days for years? This is not the first year that they have done this. So this is equivalent schedule of if you played on Monday night, then you played on Sunday night, then you played on Thursday. It's the equivalent of that. Why I think this one is different and why I think it resonates very differently is, did you guys know that the NFL said they wouldn't do this? The NFL last year told the Wall Street Journal they would not schedule a Christmas game if December 25th was on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. They said that. Now, the other days, they have established they play games. If the Chiefs had to play a Sunday Christmas game, no one would really say anything about it. If the Chiefs had to play a Christmas game on Monday night, or if they had to play Thursday night football, you have gotten used to those things. The NFL said one thing and then went around and then forced 4 teams to participate on Christmas. That's why I think the 3 games in 11 stretch is resonating the way that it has. Is it really goes to show you just the absolute height of just NFL greed. Literally, I can post the story here. They told the Wall Street Journal they would not schedule a Christmas game in December of last year and then agreed on a 3-year deal 2 months later after this. Why did you guys lie from the very beginning? You guys were negotiating this deal with Netflix. How do we think that these billion-dollar deals come together? We think they come together in 3-4 weeks? No, you guys have been talking to Netflix this whole time. Why did you take this stance to just completely fall back against it and contradict yourselves? That's why I think people feel the way that they feel about this one, because this game, putting the game on Netflix on Christmas on a Wednesday, just screams money grab to everybody.
And that's what, I mean, we are like the only show maybe in the city or the country or wherever talking about this. But man, Roger Goodell and the owners have done this like 7 different times since COVID ended, and this is just the latest example. Hey, we got you. We're not doing that to you. We're not going to do the 3 games in 11 days thing if Christmas is on a Tuesday or Wednesday, because that's hinky, that's weird, competitive imbalance. We got you. Then they see the dollar signs attached to what Netflix is going to offer, and all that talking goes out the window. It's like how they're all about player safety until they realize they can make more money with the 17th game. Then they're super into player safety. Sign me up. Who cares about player safety? It can be gone, what have you. It is just another example of the NFL and owners doing. They can do whatever they want, and as long as people like us and the text line continue to consume it at a high level, it doesn't matter what they do, because they're the Jesse Pinkman meme. They can't keep getting away with it. Well, we keep watching, so yes, they can.
As I've gotten older, I've realized that I read the reviews more than I ever did. You know, when you're younger, maybe you just buy something, right? Maybe you guys didn't, but I know I did. Hey, I want this thing. I don't really care what the reviews say. I'm just going to purchase it. But as you get older, before you go to a restaurant, I'm usually going to check to see what other people are saying about the restaurant before I go. Before I buy something on Amazon, I'm going to do a little bit more research than I used to. I'm going to read the customer reviews. I'm going to read the 5 stars. I'm going to read the 1 stars. I'm going to get a better understanding of what I'm getting into before I buy something. I feel like this happened to the Chiefs. I feel like it also happened to the Baltimore Ravens. Now, let me knock on wood here for DJ Humphries, because I don't know 100% what's going on, but the Chiefs got a left tackle who got hurt in his last game and was not playing this season. I think you all knew, hey, this is a little bit of a dice roll here. Now, it's a dice roll that you were willing to take, and I do think that DJ Humphries is an upgrade over the other 2 guys that you had playing left tackle, but I don't think it can come as a surprise to anybody if you had done your Googles and checked the customer reviews on DJ Humphries. He broke down in Arizona, and that is why he got released from Arizona. That is also why he was not in the league in September, why he was not in the league in October. Fast forward to December, he plays in 1 game. What do you know? DJ Humphries got hurt. Now, maybe this is just a 1-week thing. Maybe DJ Humphries is just not going to practice a whole lot with Kansas City as they're trying to get him ready. We'll see what happens. But he played 1 game. He left that game with an injury. He didn't practice on Wednesday, didn't practice on Thursday. We'll see what that means for Sunday. We'll see what that means for this stretch of games as they are finishing out the regular season. The exact same thing also happened to the Baltimore Ravens with Deontay Johnson. The 2 places before told you everything you needed to know about Deontay Johnson. It did not work in Pittsburgh because of his attitude. He then went to Carolina. It was not working in Carolina because of his attitude. Now, if you were Baltimore, you were thinking, well, we're not really paying you a whole lot. Carolina's going to pay $3 million of your $3.7 million deal left. We didn't really give up a big trade acquisition piece, and you're probably going to be on your best behavior because it's a contract year. When is a player usually going to put on their best face? They're usually going to put on their best face around contract time. You then got Deontay Johnson, and he is melted down. We had Tim Barbalace on, and we can play the audio. He had a meltdown on the sideline where they had to go over and calm him down, and that's ultimately when they made the decision to sit him down for a week because of his attitude, because of his demeanor, and the way that he handled himself. Sometimes you do get exactly what you pay for. Sometimes when you read those customer reviews, you got to really pay attention to them because you are buying exactly what the consumers have told you that you have paid for. With DJ Humphries, you got what you paid for. You got a 30-year-old injured left tackle. That's what he looks like. That's what he looked like on Sunday when he played. That's what he currently is right now for the Kansas City Chiefs. If you were the Ravens, you traded for a 28-year-old hothead. You know what he has been for you guys? He's been a 28-year-old hothead. That's what he's been. That's what he was at 22. That's what he was at 26. That's what he is currently at 28 years old as he is trying to wrap up his second contract in the National Football League. All of the problems that he showed you when he was in Pittsburgh, all of the problems he showed you in Carolina, he brought those same problems to Baltimore. And we had Tim Barbalace on. He doesn't think that Deontay Johnson plays again for the Baltimore Ravens. He thinks that he could be inactive for the rest of his time there. Of all the trades that happened at the deadline, I mean, Joshua Uche is not playing a whole lot for Kansas City, but at least you're not hearing anything about it. He's just quietly not playing for the Chiefs. Deontay Johnson is loudly not playing for the Ravens and causing issues.
I mean, it is exactly what we expected. I remember when Deontay Johnson's name came up, I was talking to a Nate Taylor in the newsroom, and I was like, you think I'm going to get Deontay Johnson? And he was like, I don't know, let's see what the price tag attached is. Let's keep an eye on, all the things that we should keep an eye on. But as time has gone on with the Chiefs and Deontay Johnson, I've come to a realization the Chiefs are not willing to put up with all that noise and all that nonsense. Is Deontay Johnson a better receiver than DeAndre Hopkins? No, but there are definitely. But for the price, you could have argued they should have they should have brought in Deontay Johnson. He's a hothead. The Chiefs don't deal with that. What was it? He used to be Robbie Anderson. Now he's the Chosen or whatever his name is. He was having problems with multiple stops. People wanted the Chiefs to bring him in. The Chiefs did not bring him in. Antonio, I can name receivers who have hit the free agent market that people are like, ooh, that's a name the Chiefs should keep an eye on. They don't do Chase Claypool. They don't do that because the Chiefs don't bring in that problem. And the fact the Ravens had to calm a guy on the sideline having a meltdown and then say, don't come to work because you're a problem is a thing the Chiefs will never, ever, ever deal with, I think, under the Andy Reid, Brett Veach regime.
Coming up on the other side, we'll get to the top stories of the day in Kansas City. Keep it right here. It's The Drive on 96.5 The Fan.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Got a crash on the left lane of westbound 435, right past 103rd Street. Seeing traffic heavy almost all the way back to 69 Highway. Also in North Kansas City, two-car crash northbound 435, right before Front Street. That is in the right lane. And traffic heavy into downtown on northbound 35. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
Tackle the NFL action on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/Alex to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com/Alex. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL and 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
This is a special report from the Missouri Lottery. There's still time to get holiday scratchers and draw games for everyone on your shopping list, even if you are the one at the top of said list. Don't worry, we won't tell. The Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly.
The election is finally over. Now you can get the cash you need. Imagine what you could do with $50,000. Pay off credit cards, do home improvements, or even pay off auto loans. Golden Oak's mortgage rate is 5.25%. There's no out-of-pocket costs, so call today and make no payments until next year. Call 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing cured my blues.
6.19 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Man, you need to look great for holiday events. Let Peter's Clothiers give you the perfect fit you're looking for. From jackets to suits to trousers and more, in sizes to fit every man. PetersClothiers.com or stop in today at 124th and State Line.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tune in this week to kick off with Boomer and Valenti to hear the Sims Spotlight featuring Super Bowl winning quarterback Phil Sims. Brought to you by Balance of Nature. Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring except the 2024 Subaru Share the Love event. Subaru will donate $250 to a charity of your choice to help those in need this holiday. These charities include the ASPCA, Make-A-Wish Foundation, Meals on Wheels, and the National Park Foundation. And locally, you can choose the Hillcrest Transitional Housing. Have some fun this holiday and fall in love with driving again at Lee Summit Subaru.
Escape to your new coastal seafood paradise. Introducing Aqua Pennies, where the freshest seafood, a full-service raw bar, prime steaks and chops, exquisite handcrafted cocktails, and a one-of-a-kind atmosphere come together in perfect harmony. Aqua Pennies is now open in Park Place, Leawood. Don't miss out. Experience something truly different. Tantalize your taste buds and elevate your evening out. To learn more, go to aquapennies.com.
Coast into Aqua Pennies, now open for lunch.
The holidays are happening at Diamonds Direct. This weekend only, it's our last chance sale with 20% off virtually everything. Plus special financing options up to 5 years. Plus special designer appearances. Our 20% off last chance sale ends Sunday. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com.
Chiefs coverage brought to you by Andy's Frozen Custard. Visit eatandys.com to find the location nearest you. Top your day with a smile.
Let me tell you about my good friend Andy from Andy's Frozen Custard. He's from Kansas City, never misses a game, and serves the world's finest frozen custard. Tailgate with a pick six, or grab a freshly made custom treat before or after a game, and tell him Mitch and Andy sent you.
You can listen to the play-by-play of the Chiefs and Browns game with Mitch, Danon, and Kling right here on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5 The Fan, KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2 Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
I've had a bad attitude all day. It's not because of anything that Rob did. It's not anybody on the text line. It's not anything in my personal life. That's not why I'm having a bad day. I do want to tell you congratulations on getting through your 9 to 5, and we will get to actual football things here coming up in a bit. But if you would indulge me for a little bit on an email that I got earlier today. So I'm eating a bowl of cereal. I'm eating just regular Cheerios. I'm not even eating Honey Nut Cheerios or apple cinnamon Cheerios, none of that flavored nonsense. I'm trying to eat healthy. I'm trying to eat right. And all of a sudden I get a ping and it's an email. Oh, okay, all right. Check my email. It's from YouTube TV. I'm thinking, what could this be? Why are they sending me an email at this time in the morning? I then open up the email, and this is what the email said. Hi, Carrington. YouTube TV has always worked hard to offer you the content that you love, delivered the way you want with features that make it easy to enjoy the best of live television. But to keep up with the rising cost of content and the investments we make in the quality of our service, we are updating our monthly price from $72 a month to $82 a month starting January 13th. January 13th is the start of the college football playoff semifinals. This does not feel random to me at all. Now, for those of you like me that cut the cord a while ago, a major reason for why you cut the cord is it was significantly cheaper than having cable. You got very comparable service at a fraction of the cost. It was a great deal. So YouTube TV has been around since 2017. When they introduced YouTube TV in 2017, it was $35. That was a blessing. I was spending $89.99 a month plus internet with Spectrum. I felt like my bill was way too high. And when you were telling me that there was a great alternative at a fraction of the cost, I jumped at the opportunity and I cut the cord and I made the switch. I even had to take the old cable boxes up to the Spectrum store on Westport. I was happy. I walked in there. I had a little stroke. I felt like Conor McGregor the way I walked in there handing in those boxes back. Get these out of my home. I'm never going to use these again. I was talking bad on cable too. Well, on March 18th, they raised the price to $40. In April of 2019, they raised the price to $50. All right, that's not that bad. $50 a month for everything that I was getting was great. Well, somewhere along the way, I used to be able to watch the Royals on YouTube TV. You now can't watch the Royals on YouTube TV. All right, hey, that's fine. That happens. During COVID, in the middle of COVID, while we're all struggling, what else do you have to do when you get home from work other than watch television? You can't go outside. You can't go eat with your friends. You can't play. You can't have fun. You got to be in the house watching TV. While we were at our most vulnerable, they raised the price to $65. It is now $30 higher than it was 3 years ago. I still stuck by them, Rob. I still stood there, held their hand through the tough times. We're going to get through this COVID thing together. They couldn't wait for COVID to be over. They raised the price again to $72, and now it's at $82 a month. This is the 6th time that they have raised prices at YouTube TV. Then when it launched, they have now increased the price 137%. The reason I'm telling you guys this is I imagine that many of you are in the same position that I'm in. I didn't take cable. I didn't treat cable with the love and respect that I thought that we should have. I feel bad the way that I dogged cable out, the way that I treated cable. We all thought we paid way too much for cable and the cable companies just had too much control over us, and they offered us this cheap alternative. We could get the sports that we wanted, and it was new and it was hip, and they had all these new features. Oh, it was great. They swindled us. YouTube TV has basically become Spectrum. Why don't I go back? For the first time in maybe a decade, I seriously thought about going back to cable. I at least got to do the research now. If you're going to tell me that it's $85 a month on YouTube TV, $82.99, $83, you're telling me for an extra $5 a month, I can switch back to cable and I can get the Royals games, and now I don't got to go through the Amazon Prime and then I got to pay the additional add-on. I can just watch the Royals regular on Spectrum. That's a great option to me. When did this happen? In our lifetime, Rob, we went from you would get all of these channels, and then if you wanted to pay a little bit extra to get the Sopranos, you could. You remember when you would go over somebody's house and they had the premium movie channels? That was a really big deal. You guys got HBO at your house, Showtime and Cinemax. You guys got the movie channel. You didn't even watch the movie channel. It was still great to have the option. They were giving you all these different HBO that you had never seen before. HBO 2, HBO Signature. You would get the Showtime and you could watch it late at night. You guys know what I'm talking about. You know the vibes. It was great. We lost the plot along the way. Now they want you to pay for YouTube TV. You got to pay for Netflix. You got to pay for Hulu. You got an Amazon Prime subscription. In the end, this is more expensive than it was at the very, very beginning. And why I'm frustrated is I know you guys feel me out there. It feels like these major companies just push us and push us and push us until they find out what our breaking point is. Every 3 weeks, Netflix has a new price increase. Okay, fine. But then when I want to sit down and watch the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, it doesn't work. Where's all this money that I'm giving you guys going to? How many crime documentaries do you guys got to sell me? All right, I know she did. I'm sorry. You guys been selling me the same repackaged crime documentaries now for 5 years. I don't complain. How many seasons of Love and Blind do we have to pay for? I'm sick of paying for Love is Blind. I just want TV to go back to how it was. I'm sorry. We can talk about the Chiefs. I'm sure they'll win. They play the Browns. I'm sure it's going to work out. I hate what they've done with television, and it affects all of us. We all watch television. And yes, maybe you're thinking, well, I don't have cable because I watch the NFL. How do you watch college football then? I like watching other things too. You know what my idea would be? And we'll get to the hits here in a bit. This is what my idea would be. Let's start a new streaming service called Balls. All we get is sports. You don't get anything else. You can't watch Fast and the Furious. You can't watch the news. You don't get anything. All you get is sports. And then when sports is off, they then will just replay classic sports movies. If you're in the middle of the night and you just want to watch some television, sure, why don't you turn on Channel 3 because they're showing Rocky IV. I don't care. I've seen Rocky IV a million times. I'm watching Rocky IV today because I'm paying for it. That would be my streaming service. That's the platform that I'm running on. We're going to start our own streaming service, Rob, called Balls. And we're going to have a deal with the NFL. We're going to have a deal with the NBA. We're going to have a deal with all of them. I don't know if we can put hockey on there because their sport doesn't have a ball. We're going to figure out a way that we can just get cable, the cable that we want. I don't want Bravo. I'm not watching any of the content on Bravo. I don't want the Hallmark channel. I don't want E. I don't want any of these other channels. I'm not watching it. All I want is to be able to watch my college football in peace. All I want to do is be able to watch the NBA on a Tuesday and hear Charles Barkley making jokes about Jay-Z. Why are you guys making that so difficult for me? That's all they've done. They have made TV more complicated than ever before, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
But aren't we the reason this horrible, horrible thing happened?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I know in 2013, 2014, 2015, I had Spectrum. I enjoyed Spectrum. I had no problem with it. I had my box. It was just plugged in next to the TV, connected in, and I got all the channels I wanted. But then I found myself watching more Netflix than I was watching TV on Spectrum. And then I found myself watching more HBO Max, or what became Max, than I did traditional television. And I found myself being like, why am I paying this massive cable bill just to watch sports? So I cut the cord. I was so excited. YouTube TV. Oh, man. And I remember telling people, you know what I want? I want television to be like an a la carte menu. I want this. I want that. I don't want that. I'll take that. I don't want to have to buy the jumbo package and get stuff I don't want. I just wanted to pick and choose. And now I live in a pick and choose world. I have Hulu, I have Disney Plus, I have ESPN Plus, I have Netflix, I have Amazon Prime, I have Max, and I have YouTube TV. And I promise you it's not better. It's not. I'm the one that signed up for this world. I was the one being like, we're going to be, pioneers and bring in the cordless revolution and down with the cable box. And, you still have a traditional remote? Nerd. You have a phone line at home? Idiot. And now I'm sitting here paying for 9 different subscription services, 10 once we get to the summer and I have to add my Bally's or FanDuel TV app. And this is worse. It's just worse.
It's absolutely worse. There's no doubt about it.
And the text line is telling me, just do piracy. That's not my path either.
Ian, the thing about the piracy, and I promise you we'll get to the Chiefs game, I don't mind. I really don't mind streaming some of the things. I don't mind it. I got to do all this to watch the Royals play the Tigers? I understand I got to pull up the stream to watch the Manny Pacquiao fight. I understand I got to pull up the stream to watch Floyd Mayweather. I got to pull up the stream so I can watch the Royals? I got to pull up the stream so I can watch the Houston Rockets? I'm not doing all that, man. That's too much. That's just too much. Too much work. I don't want any part of this. It's not what we used to do. I just wanted to go back to how it was. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for complaining. I know I am not the only one that feels this way about cable. They made it far too complicated. I hate when you're having a work conversation with somebody and they tell you about a show that sounds amazing, and then you ask them what streaming services it is, and they tell you it's on AMC Plus. Who in the world has AMC Plus? I've never even heard of it before. Rob, hit the button.
Your workday is over.
Oh, yeah.
You're headed home, and now you're stuck in traffic. Time to get caught up on the biggest stories in Kansas City and around the country with CDOT and Rob. It's time for the hits. Number 1.
I got to pull up the computer. I got to hook my computer up to the TV to watch Monday Night Football. Bro, we're doing too much now. I don't know what's going on here. That's behavior I can't endorse.
But like Carrington, the hits are brought to you by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu. Well, getting back to Kansas City Chiefs, and I promise we'll get to the Browns game because it's massive. The Browns are a big one. Earlier today on Colin Cowherd's podcast, friend of the show, Nick Wright, laid something out that neither me or you knew coming into today.
The Andy Reid thing, I don't think people realize how close it is. The Shula record.
Yeah.
So Andy's at 296. Shula's at 347. Belichick's at 333. So Andy is 51 wins away. He has, prior to this year, he had coached Mahomes for 6 years. They had 90 wins, regular season and playoffs, those 6 years. That's exactly 15 a year. So if Andy coaches, for 3 more years, he should be right there. And if he coaches for 4, he'll have it. He's 5 playoff wins behind Bill. He'll get that in the next, I would imagine, 3 years as well.
Which is really remarkable when you consider you'd think it would be 30
it's
behind.
Remarkable. It's and so he's going to, unless he retires and he just signed a new 5-year, $100 million deal, he's going to catch him in playoff wins and in regular season wins.
Carrington, that was stats I was unaware of. Do you believe, now that Belichick is heading to college football, that Andy Reid could surpass the hoodie and go down as the best coach in NFL history?
Yeah, but funny enough, I actually think that is more about how we feel about Bill Belichick than maybe the accomplishments of Andy Reid. What I mean is the Belichick brand took a major hit when Tom Brady had so much success when he left, and Tom and Bill didn't have as much success. I think that hurt Bill Belichick more than anything that Andy Reid can do. I don't think that Andy Reid is going to have more Super Bowl wins than Bill Belichick. Maybe I'm being a pessimist there. Just the guy won 6 of them, and you're at 3 right now. So you got to really get going in a very short amount of time. It's not like we think that Andy's coaching for 15 more years. He maybe coaches for 6 or 7 more years. That means you got to you got to basically create another dynasty in a very short period of time. Obviously, really, really difficult to do. I think more so than anything, people just don't feel like Belichick is now the number one reason why they're having success. Where Andy, I've seen you do it at a high level at now multiple places. You did it at Philadelphia. You got them to 4 NFC championship games, and you guys went to a Super Bowl, and you had a chance to win that one. And in Kansas City, it's not like the Chiefs were terrible and then Patrick Mahomes showed up. They were a playoff team, and then they got the right quarterback, and they went from being a playoff team to the playoff team. So Andy has just been really consistent for the last 20 years, and then he took a huge spike up. There has been a lot of highs and lows, a lot of peaks and valleys in the Belichick regime. And let's be real, people think the Patriots were cheaters, and a lot of that is because of Bill. So the shine, I think, is really worn off of him. I think that what could potentially have him being passed up on the list, and not really as much the accomplishments by anybody else.
Number 2.
Speaking of the NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs, they are right now in pole position to hold on to the 1 seed in the AFC, and their biggest competition, Carrington, has big competition this weekend. The Bills, who currently says the 2 seed, but hold the tiebreaker of the Kansas City Chiefs, are headed to Detroit to take on the Lions. Meanwhile, the Steelers, the pesky Steelers, remain in the hunt for the 1 seed, but this weekend they head to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Carrington, with the slate of games this weekend, the Chiefs taking on the fun but mostly hapless Browns, and the Bills and Steelers having big games, is the 1 seed conversation all but done in the AFC come Sunday, 7:25?
All right, can you fade the music down and let's just talk about these two things? because it sounds to me, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Rob, it sounds like you and I feel different about this Browns game, and that's obviously perfectly fine. I think the Browns can give the Chiefs a very competitive, nervous game. And it's not just really because of the Chiefs and how they've played normally. I am not going into this game with the same energy that I had for the Carolina Panthers as them just being a hapless, I can't believe we're even having this conversation. I think that Cleveland does two things that line up with the Chiefs' weakness. Number one, I think Jameis Winston can have a decent day against the Chiefs defense. I think that Jameis could throw for 300 yards against the Chiefs defense. I think that Cleveland could move the ball against Kansas City. So if you can move the ball up and down the field, you obviously, number one, give yourself a chance. The second thing on this is I think it is possible that the best player playing in this game plays on the other team. That's not really usually the case in most Chiefs game. But if you were talking about in this individual game, who do you think could play the best? I think Myles Garrett could potentially be at the top of this list. You were telling me that the Chiefs could not have DJ Humphries at left tackle and maybe have Wanya Morris, or maybe they put Joe Thuney over there and they move the deck chairs a little bit. And you currently have Jawan Taylor, who didn't practice yesterday and was a limited participant today. And we all have our questions about Jawan Taylor. And we've seen the protection issues up front with the Kansas City Chiefs. And they're going up against the pass rusher in the National Football League. So what Cleveland can do well, and it is not a whole bunch of things they do well, it really lines up to give Kansas City some trouble. And we've seen Cleveland in the last 6 weeks. They have beat Baltimore, who is a legitimate playoff team, and they also beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, also a legitimate playoff team. Now, it's different because those three teams are in the same division, and Kansas City is not. So you just inherently have more information on Baltimore and Pittsburgh than you do Kansas City. But I am not going into this game laughing at Cleveland or think that Kansas City is just showing up in town and just running all over the Cleveland Browns. Chiefs games have not gone that way. And again, I think that Cleveland kind of does some things that could give Kansas City some trouble and make the game more uncomfortable than it should be. Ultimately, at the end, Kansas City will do something that shows you why they're 12-1. Cleveland will do something that shows you why they could potentially get the number one overall pick. Jameis will do something. I don't know when that something will happen, but I've seen enough Jameis Winston dating back to when he was at Florida State. A mistake is coming. It is right around the corner. So it might happen in the second quarter. It might happen on the final possession of the game. Jameis is not playing a completely clean and perfect game to beat anybody. He is going to give you chances to end the Cleveland Browns, and let's see if the Chiefs take those opportunities. He has thrown 13 touchdown passes this season. He also has 9 interceptions. He is one of the most wild variant players, I think, in the National Football League. Now, to answer your question about the 1 seed, 2 seed, all of those things, I don't think that Pittsburgh's very viable for the 1 seed. I know that they're only a couple games back and that they play Kansas City, right? So I'm not disrespecting Pittsburgh. But if you look at their schedule, they play on the road against Philadelphia, on the road against Baltimore. They play home against Kansas City and home against Cincinnati. Those are their final 4 games. If I just randomly put 4 NFL teams into a hat, every team, and I ask you to pick up 4 teams, and that's your month schedule, I don't know if you come up with a harder schedule than the one that Pittsburgh has. I don't think it's realistic to think that Pittsburgh is finishing out the season 4-0 and only having 3 losses at the end of the season. So let's say they lose one more game that puts them at 4. We think that Kansas City is going 1-3 down the stretch. There's just no reason to think that. And Buffalo ended their 1 seed pursuit when they lost last week to the Rams. You needed to stay within arm's reach of Kansas City, and you needed to be at 2 losses in order to be able to beat them. I just don't think that Kansas City is going 2-2 down the stretch. The Chiefs have only lost back-to-back games 1 time in the last 3 seasons. I just don't see them doing that at the end of the year. The Chiefs are not a perfect team by any means, but they usually find a way to win, especially when there's real stakes on the board. There's real stakes on the board. Finish the race. Go 3-1 down the stretch. win the necessary games, and then you can take 3 weeks off, get rested, rejuvenated, and be ready for the postseason. So I think the 1 seed conversation is mostly over in the AFC. And if you look at the odds and the percentages, they also indicate that. The Chiefs right now have a 78% chance at the 1 seed. Buffalo is at 16%, and the Steelers are at 5% for the 1 seed. So the math is telling you the Steelers don't really have a chance at doing it. And if Kansas City gets to 13-1, if they win this week, it's just going to be hard to start to find the math necessary in order for those other two teams to pass them in regards to them being the 1 seed.
We agree on the 1 seed. I think the math says it's going to be the Chiefs. I don't know. I agree with ESPN's math that has them at 78%. I think that number should be higher. I mean, I'm not a mathematician, so maybe I'm way off here, but it just feels like higher than 78%. But me and you just disagree on the Browns game. That's fine. The Browns are plucky. The Browns are feisty. The Browns are fun, but I think they're fun from an entertainment value. I don't think they're fun from a can actually beat the Chiefs value. I don't think it's any given Sunday. I don't think it's that dramatic, but I think it's like a notch or two below that. Like the Panthers would have had to be any given Sunday. Everything goes wrong for the Chiefs. Everything goes right for the Panthers. And we would have said that's just the National Football League. I don't think it's quite that dramatic, but the way the Browns beat the Chiefs is they would have to force the Chiefs to do something dramatic that they don't usually do. I pulled up the box scores for fun. When the Browns beat the Ravens earlier this year, you know the Ravens had the worst rushing game of their year from Derrick Henry? I don't know that they can create the worst game of their year for one of their key players this week. Do you know that they had a multiple turnover game? Like those sorts of things, they're not any given Sunday, but they are in that vein where it feels like everything's got to go right. The Ravens were 0 of 3 on 4th down that day. Like the percentages say you're going to get one. But they didn't, and they only won by 5. They only lost by 5. I don't know it's any given Sunday dramatic, but I just feel like if the Chiefs and Browns play heads up, I do not see a path for the Browns to beat the Chiefs.
Well, of course, yeah. I don't disagree with you there. If Kansas City plays a clean game, they should win this game. But we have seen that Kansas City doesn't usually always play clean games. And if you don't really trust Kansas City to convert in the red zone and you think they're going to leave points on the board the way that they have, Kansas City has scored less than 21 points in their last 2 games. If you score less than 21 points on Sunday, you can lose. It's that simple. You can lose. You can lose. A ball gets tipped, a turnover, a penalty, something weird happens. You put yourself in a position where you could possibly lose. And Cleveland just last week against Pittsburgh, they had a chance in the 4th quarter, and then Kadarius Toney happened. He had a mindless penalty that cost them, and then they had a fumble. Now, you and I agree. The Browns are probably going to do something that a bad team does. They are 3-10. I don't want to paint them like they're some great team by any means. But of all the teams that are really bad this year, there are 8 teams in the league that have either 2 losses or 2 wins or 3 wins. Vegas, the Giants, New England, Carolina, Jacksonville, Tennessee, the Jets, and Cleveland. Cleveland, to me, has the widest variance of, I don't know. They could possibly get you. I don't feel that way about the Giants. I don't feel that way about New England. You guys heard how I talked about Carolina. I also think that Jacksonville is playing out the stretch. Jameis is just weird, man. Maybe I'm giving Jameis way too much credit. We saw Jameis Winston throw for almost 500 yards just a couple of weeks ago and 4 touchdown passes. So they can do some good things. He will probably just do something bad that is the biggest reason why they end up losing this game. And the Chiefs will probably win what they always do. They will win a closer than it needs to be game in the 4th quarter where they show you why they can win the Super Bowl. And again, why the Browns could potentially have the number 1 overall pick. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Fellas, the holidays are here, the season of joy and cheer. But if your energy is low, you're not sleeping as well, and maybe your sex drive is left, it can be hard to be excited in the middle of all these festivities. If that sounds like you, if that sounds familiar, you could simply be dealing with low testosterone or low T. As we get older, fellas, our testosterone drops 2 to 3% every year starting in your early 30s. And over time, you might notice a decrease in libido, weight gain, poor sleep, or even a little bit of brain fog. So how do you know for sure? It's simple. Pick up your phone right now and visit heartlandmenshealth.com and take their 2-minute low T quiz. Then schedule a $99 consult, which includes lab work and a medical review. You'll get your results within 30 minutes. And if you start treatment that day, then your visit is free. Don't wait. Take the first step to feeling like yourself again. Go visit heartlandmenshealth.com today.
Selling a home is stressful, and you want an agent you can trust. My friend Dawn Sharp and the Sharp Homes team, brokered by Epic Realty, will bring the most buyers. Find out what your home is worth in a matter of seconds at homesforsaleandkc.com. Click the button, How much is your home really worth? Then you can decide if you want to skip the showings and open houses and go straight to sold with their instant offer program. Contact the only agent I would trust if I needed to sell my home. It's Dawn Sharp and the Sharp Homes team. Google Sharp Homes team or visit them at homesforsaleandkc.com and start packing.
Planning to propose this holiday? Shane Company is ready to help you find your dream engagement ring. We handpick the most beautiful diamonds and colorful gemstones in all shapes and sizes. So when you walk in the door, you can trust your rock is in stock. At Shane Company, we've always sourced directly, cut out the middleman, and pass the savings on to you. We work with your budget, not against it. We'll also protect your ring for life with our free unmatched lifetime warranty. Come see us at shaneco.com and in-store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Tackle the NFL action on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/Alex to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com/Alex. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL and 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
What if you could hear your favorite song for the first time again? Introducing the all-new, reimagined Nissan Kicks. With an available Bose Personal Plus sound system that uses speakers in the headrest to create a 360-degree listening experience. You've never heard anything like this. Reimagine your music and your drive. Experience the all-new reimagined Nissan Kicks for yourself at nissanusa.com today.
Available feature. Bose is a registered trademark of the Bose Corporation.
This holiday season, Straight Talk Wireless is letting you say yes a lot more with real unlimited data. Yes to sharing pics of the ugliest holiday sweaters. Yes to checking weather on the go for surprise sledding trips. And with a free phone at sign up, let the yes-tivities begin.
No way!
Yes way. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart or straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 1/5/25 while supplies last at participating stores. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation on select single line plans. Limit of 2 phones per customer. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
Brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy.
What's up, Kansas City? It's Mitchell Schwartz. Join me at the Buffalo Wild Wings located off 105th and Metcalf in Overland Park on Friday, December 13th. I'll be there with the crew from 6 to 8 p.m. eating some wings and drinking $5 Bud Lights. For more details, go to 965thefan.com.
Join 96.5 The Fan and Bud Light for the Fans Football Show with Mitchell Schwartz or Sean Barber and Jay Binkley every Friday this football season starting at 6 at participating Buffalo Wild Wings locations. Enjoy $5 talls, prizes, and Chiefs gear. For a list of locations, go to 965thefan.com. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Stop car blocking the left lane westbound 70 just before 23rd Street. And another one stopping traffic on the west side of the Metro, northbound 470, the exit to Woods Chapel Road. And things looking heavy in the southern lanes of the downtown loop. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5, The Fan Traffic.
Chiefs fans, it's Trey Smith. Welcome to the Drive with C-Dot on your home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan.
All right, I have a question to ask you guys. 913-586-7965. If you missed any part of the show today, there are a handful of teams that have the same schedule that the Chiefs have. They play a game on the 15th, 21st, and 25th. So we joined all of those teams earlier today. Let's look ahead just a little bit. I am going to put a series of buttons in front of you. I think we have a pretty good idea of who the Chiefs could potentially play in the first game that they have in the postseason. If you were looking at the wild card teams, it is between these 4 teams they could probably play. They could play Houston, Baltimore, the Chargers, or the Broncos. Now, maybe that Broncos pick switches out and Indianapolis wins the division. Maybe we revisit this conversation on Monday or Tuesday, depending on who wins that game. But right now, the Broncos have a 2-game lead on the Indianapolis Colts with 4 games to go. Let's just go ahead and put Denver in that last spot. So there are 4 realistic possibilities for the Chiefs to play in their first postseason game. Funny enough, the Chiefs will have played all of these teams. In fact, every team that is currently in the AFC playoffs, the Chiefs will have played this year in the season. Right now, the 7 playoff teams would be Kansas City, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Houston, and then the 3 divisional teams would be Baltimore, Los Angeles, and Denver. My question is, if I allowed you the opportunity right now out of those 4 possibilities to press the button and lock in who the Chiefs play in their first playoff game in the divisional round at Arrowhead, what team would you press the button on? Because I would say all 4 of those teams present very different challenges. Baltimore maybe has the most explosive quarterback out of that group. The Chargers and the Broncos are in your division, and they obviously know you very, very well. And you know the saying, it's tough to beat a team 3 times. And Houston is a team that has a good quarterback, has a capable defense. I actually think is maybe the weaker out of those 4 teams. We were talking about this earlier. I think the consensus would be the Broncos, but I am pretty curious to hear what you guys think. 913-586-7965. If you could press a button right now and lock in who the Chiefs play in the second round out of the options, who would you pick? Rob, who would your answer be?
I would take Denver. I would do exactly what I think most people do, and I would take the quarterback with the least playoff experience because he has none. Now, in this scenario, by the time the Chiefs would have played him, he would have played in and won a postseason game. But I feel like the Chiefs will have only played Denver 1 real time this year. I don't think that second time is going to be a real football game. I think it's going to be the same way last year's Charger game was, or countless other Week 18 games. So that beat a team 3 times thing kind of goes out the window when it's ipso facto a second meeting in reality. And Bo Nix has been better than I thought. I'm going to eat my words on Bo Nix. And Sean Payton looks like he can coach football again, which, you know what? I would have been wrong about that too. It looked like he had lost it too last year. But, man, I don't know the Chiefs should fear Denver at all. I don't know the Chiefs have any worry of January whatever, Denver comes into Arrowhead and stuns the world. I could see it with Houston. C.J. Stroud, a second matchup in Arrowhead, quick turnaround. You saw that team 2 weeks ago. I could see it. D'Amico Ryans also has one of the better defensive units in the NFL. I would take Denver just because of it and the seeding of it, but I think it comes down to Denver or Houston. Those are the best 2 options.
Yeah, I would pick Houston, and this is why. I don't really think that the first game between the Chiefs and the Broncos was that much of a fluke. Now, do I think that the Chiefs would need another block field goal to beat them? No. But I think we've seen in the last couple of years that the Broncos just play the Chiefs really, really close and really, really tough. Funny enough, since that game against the Chiefs, the defense for the Broncos has really kind of locked in, I guess aside from the Cleveland game, and they've really scored a lot of points. They scored 28 points on offense against the Browns. You got to subtract the pick sixes. Their offense didn't generate those points. They scored 38 points against Atlanta, and they scored 29 points against Las Vegas. So this Broncos team, I think, can score a little bit. I think their quarterback is gaining confidence as you head into the most important stretch of the year. I also think that they could run the ball. I actually think that Houston's the right answer.
I guess part of it for me, too, is, and I apologize for interrupting.
Oh, you're good.
Styles make fights. Do you know what the Texans have in spades? Pass rush. They have a lot of it. They have a lot of pass rush. They have Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, who we will talk about, not this week, but next week, are both problematic for the Chiefs, who have Jawan Taylor, who's better this year, but still is flawed. And I don't even know what left tackle is. Could be Humphreys, could be Tooney, could be Morris. God help me. Please don't be Kingsley Suamataia.
I think he's done.
I think he's done too. But that is a person on the roster who it could be. Man, styles make fights. D'Amico Ryans with that pass rush against that offensive line gives me a little bit of pause. And also, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, it's not by name the sexiest weaponry in the history of the NFL. But if C.J. Stroud gets a little bit of time, that receiving group can give the Chiefs secondary, which has been leaky, problems. I think the Broncos defense is good. I don't think they have that kind of dog that can give the left tackle issues. And the Broncos weapons are probably the same, 6 in one hand, half dozen the other, to the Texans weapons. I just think C.J. Stroud's better than Bo Nix. That's one of the main reasons I'm taking the Broncos is styles make fights. And I don't like the style the Texans-Chiefs fight could be.
Yeah, I guess for me, though, I look at the Texans as a team that just has more flaws than I think the Broncos do. I don't really think that Houston can protect their quarterback. So I just don't really think that Houston can control the line of scrimmage against Kansas City. I also look at Houston as a team that they need to run the ball pretty effectively, I think, to be good with Joe Mixon. And I think the Chiefs have shown, even with their defensive struggles, that they're pretty good at taking the run away. I think when it's all said and done, we're going to look at Houston as being the worst team in the AFC playoffs. That Houston is a team that is largely going to make the postseason because of what division they're in, and the fact that the rest of the division is either in flux and still trying to figure things out. Jacksonville's about to fire their head coach. Tennessee is an absolute dumpster fire this year, and Indianapolis is okay. But even for a team that spent a top 5 pick on a quarterback, they don't seem to have the answer at the position as well. And Houston is just the beneficiary of being in the right division at the right time. I think the Broncos have been kind of impressive this year. Now let's see how they finish it out. This Broncos stretch, I think, is pretty important for them. They got a playoff game essentially on Sunday against the Colts. They go on the road on Thursday Night Football and play Los Angeles. And they go on the road and play Cincinnati, a team that is certainly going to play the string out. And Cincinnati is going to be looking to kind of be like what your Jayhawks were. Hey, we might not make the playoff, but we're going to try to make sure that nobody else is making the playoff. So I still think going on the road to Cincinnati is still a viable, worthwhile game. So I wouldn't press the button on the Broncos. Let me know what you guys think on the text line, 913-586-7965. If you could lock in the Chiefs' first-round opponent now, the AFC playoffs seem largely locked in stone. Someone said, you don't think that Baltimore can catch Pittsburgh? Man, Pittsburgh has just been ahead of them for the first 15 weeks of the season. I know they still play each other one more time, and the Pittsburgh schedule is difficult. Baltimore is 8-5 right now. They're 2 games back with 4 to go. I think Pittsburgh's going to win the AFC North. I think they're going to finish this thing out. I think they're going to win at least 12 games. I'm not necessarily sure if that's what Baltimore is going to do. I think that Pittsburgh is going to end up being either the 2 or the 3 seed, and I think that Pittsburgh is going to prove to be a pretty difficult out. They can get to the other team's quarterback. Russell Wilson is one of the more improved players, and I think they got a little bit of firepower and they're well coached. But hopefully you won't see them until the AFC Championship game potentially. Looking at the schedule, I think we have a good idea of who the Chiefs' first playoff opponent could be. I just wanted to know what team you guys would lock in. Coming up on the other side, we got Thursday Night Football, a very important divisional race in the NFC. We'll get to it. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for K-State Athletics, 96.5. The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
It is the holidays. It is holiday party time, and you're probably going to need some food if you're going to the function, right? I know me and my friends, next Saturday, we're having our big holiday shindig, and sometimes I might bring a bottle, but this time they have put me in charge of the eats. And you know I'm not cooking any of the food. I can't cook for that many people, but you know what I can do, Rob? I can get in that vehicle, and I can drive down to Gates Barbecue, and I can leave with a platter, and trust me, everybody is going to be happy. It's Carrington from The Drive here telling you that whatever your holiday plans are, they need to include Gates. So maybe you're going to a holiday party. Make sure you pick up the small party tray. Make sure you pick up the large party tray. Maybe you're a big baller like Rob, and you need that presidential platter because you got a lot of people coming over. We got some important football games coming up in the month of December. You want to make sure that you got the proper eats to go with it. You can even stop by. Maybe you don't want to cook tonight and you want to get yourself a great dinner. Go stop by any one of the Area 5 locations. Also, if you're looking for some stocking stuffer ideas, go grab some of that Classic Gate sauce. Grab some of those Classic Gate seasoning. Also, grab yourself a gift card and you can give the gift of great barbecue to your loved ones. Wherever your holiday plans are, please make sure that they include our dear friends over at Gates Barbecue.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This weekly football preview is brought to you by MD Anderson Cancer Center.
We're nearing the end of the season, and Week 15 kicks off with L.A. versus San Francisco on Thursday night. Weekend matchups, we'll see Kansas City take on Cleveland, Baltimore heads to New York, and Buffalo will take on Detroit. Things wrap up with 2 Monday night games as Chicago battles Minnesota and Atlanta takes on Las Vegas.
At MD Anderson Cancer Center, we're doing whatever it takes to end lung cancer. Visit MDAndersonLungCancer.com to learn more.
MD Anderson Cancer Center is again ranked #1 in the nation for cancer care by U.S. News & World Report's Best Hospitals rankings. Our physicians treat more types of cancers in a day than many see in their whole career. This unmatched depth of expertise, combined with our groundbreaking discoveries, gives our patients access to the most innovative treatment options. Learn more at mdanderson.org.
It's Thirsty Thursday at Hy-Vee. Time to stock up the bar and fill up your tank. Earn 50 cents per gallon fuel savings on every $50 purchase of wine, beer, hard seltzer, and spirits. Mix and match all your favorite libations and get a 50-cent fuel saver with every $50 purchase. Stack up the savings and your next fill-up could be free. Don't miss Thirsty Thursday at your Kansas City, Missouri Hy-Vee. Product promotion differs by location. Offers valid where legal, available while supplies last.
I can't wait to watch the Chiefs go up and down the field and score a ton of points this year. And now I have even more reason to cheer on the Chiefs. I just head to Hy-Vee the day after any game and score savings at the pump with my Hy-Vee Perks card. Win or lose, I earn fuel saver discounts equal to the Chiefs score based on the amount I spend. If the Chiefs score 42 points, I save 42 cents a gallon when I spend $42. The more we score, the more I save. Only at Hy-Vee. Offer good in-store and online. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED. And it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Brought to you by the Kansas City Symphony.
From Christmas Festival to Frozen in Concert, see your holiday playlist come to life with the Kansas City Symphony. Explore the full holiday lineup and get your tickets today at kcsymphony.org. There's no wrong way to symphony.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Traffic is sponsored by Park & Go, your holiday travel made easy with all covered airport parking. Now, 2-car crash westbound 435 right at Antioch, though it is on the shoulder. Still seeing some brake lights around as you get past. Stalled car westbound 70 before 23rd Street, closing the left lane. Heading out of town this holiday season, let Park & Go take the stress out of holiday travel. With easy online reservations, free shuttles, luggage assistance, and all covered parking, you'll be Jingle Bell ready. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com. Happiest of holidays from Park & Go. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5, The Fan Traffic.
Kane is in the building.
Welcome to your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5, The Fan.
All right, let's talk about Thursday night football. You know what, man? Amazon, they've really done their homework when it comes to Thursday night football. It is a better product. It is not close. Somebody talked to Al Michaels and told him how to have a little bit more energy this year than he had last year. You remember Al. Al was struggling to get through those games. Al sounded like he wanted to be anywhere else than doing those Thursday night games. Al's doing a little bit better, man. I'm happy to report Al's doing a whole lot better with these Thursday night games than he was last year. I'm very happy to tell you guys that. So let's take a look at the standings in the NFC, because the AFC, as we just talked about, is pretty much wrapped up. The NFC is as well, but there's two divisions that we still don't know who's going to win. So Detroit and Philadelphia, they're making the postseason. The Packers are making the postseason. Minnesota is making the postseason. So we already know 4 of the 7 teams. Now the question is in 2 divisions, the NFC West and the NFC South. Now, if you look at the Seahawks, they have an advantage right now in the NFC West. So the Seahawks are 8-5. The Rams are 7-6. Arizona 6-7. Also, San Francisco is 6-7. There is not a pathway for San Francisco to make the postseason that does not include them winning today on Thursday Night Football. There's not a pathway. They already have 7 losses. This puts you at 8 losses, and the best you can do is 9-7. Or 9-8. I don't think that 9-8 is going to help you win your division. One of those teams is going to get to double-digit wins, and right now you would have to think that Seattle is the team that's going to get to double-digit wins. They only got to go 2-2 down the stretch to lock in at least 10 wins this year. If you're San Francisco, you really got to get going if you are going to win this thing. Rob, I've liked the Rams the entire year. They got a big win last week against the Buffalo Bills. Their schedule down the stretch, so they play tonight, obviously. They have the Jets, and they have back-to-back home games against Arizona and Seattle. So the Rams still have a chance to win this division. This is a playoff game in a lot of ways today. You know what, man? I'm taking the Rams today.
Stunner.
I'm taking the Rams today.
Remember last week you were talking about the Rams, and you were like, I'm kind of over the Rams now. Then they won against the Bills, and
yeah, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
oh,
I'm back.
My goodness.
I'm back. This is a team in San Francisco that has lost 3 of their last 4. The win that they had was against Chicago, a team that has given up on life. They have given up on life. I think the Rams win today. I think the Rams go into San Francisco, and I think they pull it out.
So I actually agree with you, but I don't think that's what's interesting about tonight, because Rams Niners is not going to move me tonight to catch up on some TV for me. I'll keep an eye on the game, but I'm not, oh man, locked in. But man, oh man, if the Niners lose and their playoff dreams are dashed, what does their future look like? Because I'm not a Brock Purdy guy. I'm not. I don't think he's transcendent. I don't think he's very good. I think they're going to give him the Trevor Lawrence contract, and they're going to regret ever doling out $1 of that money.
This is the thing, though, really quickly. I agree with you. I don't think that Brock Purdy is transcendent. But I will say my opinion on Tua has changed because I saw what the Dolphins looked like when they didn't have Tua, and I saw what the Dolphins looked like when they had him. And I came away thinking, man, maybe Tua's a little bit better than I think that he is. I think that Brock Purdy has been pretty solid. You know my stance on Purdy. I think if Purdy was drafted in the 2nd round, we would feel very different about him. But I feel like he always kind of has to prove himself because of where he's been drafted, that we are always sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop to say, see, I told you about him. I think that Purdy has been good. If we are looking at the quarterbacks that are under 27, under 28 years old, Brock Purdy has by far and away been one of the most consistent and best out of that group. But for some reason, he's just not getting the love the way that some of those other guys have.
I think it's because everyone thinks he's a creation of the talent around him and not vice versa. Which, by the way, you mentioned a 2nd-round pick. We might be able to say that about Jalen Hurts, too. Jalen Hurts, when he has no one around him, is kind of bum. But Brock Purdy feels that same way. I'm just curious what the Niners 2025 looks like. Danny Parkins, friend of the show, and Colin Cowherd about this on their podcast. Do the Niners trade Shanahan if they don't make the playoffs because they're in rebuild? Does Shanahan want to stick around for a rebuild? Can you rebuild around Purdy? Like, Those are the conversations being asked in the Bay Area when a year ago we were asking, can anyone beat the Niners? So, like, is a Niner teardown coming if they lose tonight? Is far more interesting to me than actual Rams-Niners, because I feel like the Rams are just the better team and are going to win tonight.
Let me read this to you because I know we don't have a whole lot of time. Quinn Ewers is reportedly debating on whether or not he wants to return to college football and forego the NFL draft. However, Texas is reportedly ready to move on from Arch Manning, which would obviously prompt Quinn to hit the transfer portal. If you're Quinn Ewers, it's time. Is another year of college football going to drastically change how you feel about Quinn Ewers? He's been there for 3 years, has he not? Am I off on my time? He's been the starter at Texas for 3 years. You need another year of college football? Bro, you ain't an NFL prospect then if that's the case.
I mean, maybe he's looking for a bigger contract than the NFL has to offer. He would be the most sought-after name in the portal.
I mean, I don't know if there's a bigger deal. Now, I mean, unless you don't think he's going to be picked high, unless you think he's going to be picked in the 6th round, then yeah, you can make more money being Texas's quarterback than the 3rd-string quarterback for the Chiefs. And, I mean, if he hit the portal, he could pick where he wants to go. He would be the number 1 player in the portal, and Arch is not sitting another year. He ain't sitting another year. Arch is going to play 1 year of college football, and he's declaring for the NFL draft. So, Quinn, Arch has decided what school he wants to go to. Where do you want to go, my friend? Pick anywhere on the board. You are not coming back to Texas if you decide to go back to school. I never for once entertained the possibility that Quinn was going back to Texas. Keep it right here on 96.5 The Fan.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
This man was a bona fide scrub.
On 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Hey, sports fans, if you're not calling John Anthony, you're simply missing out. To prove it,